10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
You guys make yourself heard. Here we go. Wow. You know,
It's wild, man.
crazy. Considering that we do this show in a glass box with almost no feedback every day, this is going to be quite the opposite. We're going to have to contain ourselves.
Yeah.
This is way better. It is way, way better. If you want to join us, the phone number is 888-825-5225. We're also going to do something a little different today. We're going to take questions from the live studio audience here. We've got microphones, and some of the folks have put in pre-submitted questions that they want to work into the show today. So either one of those will be just fine, and we're going to start off with that. So who's up first? Kevin? Hey, Kevin, how are you? Better than I deserve. Where do you live?
Indianapolis.
Cool. Welcome to Nashville. Thanks for coming in for this special event. How can we help you?
Yeah, so my wife and I are on baby step 7. Kids are through school, house is paid, no debts. About 2 years ago, we maxed out our 401k and Roth and everything else as full as we could. Then the market, of course, went south, and we decided to back off to 15% on our 401ks. We focused on cash and putting a little money into our house, remodel. And the question is, when do we get back in? What's a good time?
Okay, the wrong question. The right question is, should I have done that? No, you should not. Because there is all kinds of data points, all kinds of pieces of research, and you can go back through and study the history of the stock market of people who try to do what you're doing, which is called timing the market. I'm going to get out when it's high and in when it's low would be the theory, but most people do quite the opposite of that because they're emotionally driven, and they get out when it's low and back in when it's high. Oh, it's great, I'm getting in. Well, it's exactly the wrong time. So the people, if you compare mathematically people that jump in and out and try to catch those waves with people who just get in and stay in, the ones that get in and stay in outperform them about 40%. It's crazy how much the math changes. So that's why we always say no one gets hurt on a roller coaster except those that jump off in the middle. So what I would tell you is any time that you're not in the market is a good time to get in and then stay in. And so the other thing is the market is down right now, and all but one time in the last 100 years when the market has been down, the year following is excellent. And so if you were going to violate all that stuff I just said a minute ago and try to time the market, now's an excellent time to be investing because it's on sale right now. We used to, when I was a kid, we'd go to Kmart. Anybody remember Kmart?
Come on.
And they'd put these blue lights up. And
Blue light
special, you know, and it's on sale, and that's what the market is when it goes down. It's on sale, and you want to get in for sure.
Yeah, and the thing about that is, you know, the market's always fluctuating, but as long as you stay on, you're on the ride. The moment you get out and sell, you're locking in that loss. And so you've officially taken the hit once you get out. And so that's why, I mean, just stay in it because it's going to adjust. It's normal. And I think that's the thing that folks need to get in their head. These adjustments, it's normal. It's cyclical. This is what we should expect. We shouldn't expect for it to just be skyrocketing all the time. It's constantly changing and adjusting. But we know by looking at, you know, the history and track record that although it's going and fluctuating, it's always tracking upward, even though it's adjusting. So that gives me peace at night. And, you know, we're all in here with you and we're keeping our money in the market, man.
Amen. Thank you, Kevin. Good question. John, give him a hand. I read a piece of research, and I'm curious your take on this as a PhD in counseling, that there's something about the human brain that the financial people have found with surveys that it takes $3 of gain to emotionally offset the damage that $1 of loss did.
Yeah, I think it may even be more than that now. But it takes, we're so loss averse. That's just the way our bodies are designed, because they're over so many thousands of years, there was so much scarcity. So it's just designed for hanging on to loss. And man, it takes some gain to get back to that equilibrium. And even then, your body puts a GPS pin in that loss, and it always wants you to remember that time we lost, remember that time we lost, remember that time we lost. And that works with money, that works with your marriage, that works with your kids, that works with trauma, all that stuff is your body's trying to remind you.
Well, and what ends up happening is then the little drama queen that lives inside of us overstates this crap.
My drama queen is incredible. So loud.
Your inner drama queen.
So loud. Well, I was gonna actually ask Kevin, like, here's what I know about me. I get hyper emotional about this stuff. And so literally once a quarter, when the things are coming out, my SmartVestor Pro will call me and say, you're gonna get some mail. Probably don't open it. You're good. You're good. And I'll say, well, what does that mean? They say, you're good, right? But this is, I've actually had to outsource
so they
common
actually put
sense.
it on there like their little Outlook, a little tickler. Call John, talk him off the ledge.
Yes, well, they know I'm gonna call them with 100 questions that I got off of YouTube, like, oh yeah, what if the dollar goes away and we're trading rocks and what? And he's like, dude, I'm just gonna call him.
Now, that is what happens. But then people say things like, well, you know, in 08, I lost everything in the stock market.
No, you didn't.
No, you did. And if you did, it's because you sold.
Mathematically, it's not possible.
Because you're still here.
Unless you had it in a single stock and that company went broke. Mm-hmm. But if you were in mutual funds, you did not lose everything. It's mathematically impossible. It actually only went in half.
That's true.
So you only lost half. And you didn't even lose half unless you happened to bail out at exactly the bottom, which is a unique ability to get out at exactly the bottom.
That's one of my gifts, Dave. That's one of my gifts.
So the trick is, I think over the years of watching this stuff, personal finance is 80% behavior, it's 20% head knowledge. And over the years of watching this stuff, the way I have learned to overcome the inner drama queen is just an act of my intellectual will. I'm going to use my freaking brain instead of the drama queen that says, the world's coming to an end. You know? Yeah. I've got to look at the actual data points and say, jumping in and out, bad. Staying in, good. For 100 freaking years, you know? And we've always had incompetent presidents. We've always had a Congress that was handcuffed to itself. We've always, none of these things are new.
Here's what is, I think, new. Is this idea that the news is here to help us. The news has one job, and that's to get your attention.
That's right.
And it gets your attention when it says, you're gonna die! And so you click on it. The news is not here to give you info, it's here to make you wild, right?
It's not your friend.
It's not your friend.
This is The Ramsey Show. Folks, I know you're doing more of what you're doing for 3 whole hours.
This is a marathon, so make sure you pace yourself. That being said, so we have about 2 minutes until we go into the next segment. Okay, so again, I'll try to give you sort of a parameter of time so you know how much it's going to be before this one. Do I make a mad dash? Do I stay? Do I wait? Should I stay or should I go? Do you want to sing that a little bit? Okay, just checking. Anyway, with that being said, for all of our friends that are watching on YouTube, my apologies for not saying hi when I first came out. Hi, everybody say hi, YouTube. Good to see you guys. Love you guys. Make sure you add any questions that you might have in the comment section, and we'll be collecting those as well. We've already got some that have come in from you guys, one of which being, Dave, do you think we'll ever see an interview with Sharon? Controversy.
Sharon.
Possibly on Rachel's show.
On Rachel's show?
Yeah. She and I, you know, she told me about 25 years ago, I got her to do a speaking gig, and she got up and talked about marriage and money in front of 800 people. and relatives were in the audience and everything else, and she just hated it. She told me, she said, I'll stay married to you if you never ask me to do that again. So, yeah, I can't get her to do it. It would be the biggest thing we'd ever done, by far. Because she's like a woman of mystery. She's Austin Powers of wives. Yeah.
What do you think the dream is like? Could we bribe her enough, like make it in an exotic location and have puppies everywhere and just like...
Problem is, if she wants to go to an exotic location, she just books it.
With or without you.
Yeah.
I mean,
like no one else right there.
Eddie, if you want to take this on, you can take it on, buddy. Good luck with that, okay?
It's like,
but
that was an unintentional flex, you guys. Did you see that? It wasn't even, it's just like, it's just a flex. It's fine, you guys, it's fine. We're doing great. Everything is fine. All right, we have another question that came in through the texting in, is asked, how was the theme song chosen?
Not very intelligently. When I graduated from high school, this is going over YouTube, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. The night I graduated from high school, me and some other rednecks got in my car and drove all the way to Daytona Beach all night long.
Do you remember what car?
Yeah, 1974 Monte Carlo.
Ooh,
and,
luxury.
Was it in black and white?
No, it was a maroon with a white Landau top. So there you go. And anyway, what was the whole thing in black and white? Yeah, life was in black and white.
That's what I was asking you.
Yeah. And
he's a little bit slow on the uptake.
We had 8-track tapes, and it would have been Journey and Boston and Heart and Jerry Rafferty's Baker Street. And so it's the soundtrack of that moment in my life. And so I was looking for a cool jazz vibe, and I remember that sax solo that was in that thing that is incredible. And thanks to the Rafferty family for licensing it to us and letting us use it all these years. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Anybody think they could recreate that sax solo really quick? That's pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm here for that. I'll let you guys work on that. Maybe next time I'm out, somebody will rise to the challenge. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pop off. We're going to have about a 30-second buffer if you need to just shuffle in your seat, but don't go anywhere. Okay, and then we're going to get started with our next segment in about 25 seconds. Sound good? You guys are killing it. I'll see you guys in a bit.
We're back on the Ramsey Show. In my excitement to launch this with this live studio audience and here at the Ramsey Live Event Center for the first time ever, I forgot to say I have two co-hosts. Sorry about that. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality, #1 best-selling author, and host of the extremely popular podcast with Dr. John Deloney, talking about mental health and relationships and marriage stuff and kids stuff, and it's all mixed in there. It's a wonderful podcast, always very interesting. Jade Washow, our newest Ramsey personality, and is for sure stealing the popularity contest around here without a doubt. So thanks, get to hang out with both of you guys today. It's a good thing. So Ramsey Show live from the stage of the new Ramsey Event Center. Up next is Catherine. Hi, Catherine. How are you? Wait a minute. There we go.
Good.
Hey, Catherine.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Where do you live?
Cincinnati.
Cool. Well, welcome to Nashville.
Thank
How
you.
can we help today?
So back in 2012, we came and did our consumer debt-free scream. And in getting to that point, we learned that we had that our 80-20 loan was stupid. And so circumstances led us to lose our house. And then now we're 50 years old and in a place where we could start thinking about buying a house again, but with little saved for retirement, wondering if we should just focus on retirement.
No, I would get a house. I mean, you don't have to rush into it or panic, but, if you want to retire with comfort, by the time you get to 65 and 70, you need a nest egg and a paid-for house. Here's why. Rents go up every year, period. The only way to control that is not be renting. If you own a home, the only costs that go up are your insurance and taxes, but your payment, even if you have still debt on it, does not go up, assuming you do what we say in a fixed rate 15-year mortgage. So your payment doesn't go up. And so the largest line item in all of our budgets, or most people's budgets anyway, is their home, their housing, their shelter. And if that largest line item in your budget is going to go up continually through retirement, it'll bust the bank. And so you don't want to start at age 65 renting through age 85. That's 20 years of rent increases. That's going to crack and scramble a nest egg. So we want to get the house, and then we want to get it paid off as part of your 20, 25-year plan from today. So yeah, I would move towards that. Again, not in a panic, but just to go, well, no, been there, done that. I don't like houses. Had a bad experience. No, you need to do it again. This time, just learn from what you did before. Good down payment, 15-year fixed.
Yeah, and we know that home ownership is a major part of that baby steps millionaire mathematical equation. We know that I think it's something like 67% of millionaires have paid for homes, and so we know that's a big part of it. And usually when we're looking at that shakedown, it's 2/3 of it is in the investments and the other third is in that home mortgage. So I agree with Dave wholeheartedly that that's the move.
How much of this are you just freaked out to get back into this thing? Tell me about that.
A lot.
Tell me about it. Losing your house is
Emotional.
deeply
Yes.
traumatic, right?
Yeah. Leaves me not wanting another one.
Yeah.
Well, it's, yeah, I had a bad car wreck. I don't want to get back in the car. You know?
So on your body's doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's trying to take care of you, okay? And its job is not to think about 30 years from now. It's to keep you safe right this second. And it's going to remind you, last time we did this, last time we did this, last time we did this. And so it's good to have a couple of people in your corner that will walk alongside you. We'll go look at houses with you, that may sit down with you and a realtor, somebody that's going to be able to put their hand on your wrist or put their hand on your arm and say, we're good, this is right.
Yeah, just, keep it conservative, and you know what to do. Watch your budget, that whole thing, and don't get caught up in some kind of desperation. But as a long play, home ownership, as you said, is one of the big components of people that build wealth, because it stabilizes your largest line item in your budget. Good question. All right, let's go on to the phones and go to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Tim is calling. Hey, Tim, welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Sure, man. What's up?
Oh, I'm just having a real hard time trying to get my family fully on board with this whole financial process. And I'm just looking for some advice on how to get my girlfriend on.
Oh, your girlfriend? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Run, Tim, run.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, not just kidding, John. Because I have a question.
Wait a minute. Stop just a second. I got to get a little bit more detail here. I apologize for interrupting.
No, go ahead.
But, Tim, you have a girlfriend, and do you have children with a girlfriend?
Yes.
How many?
1.
How old?
2 years old.
2 years old. Okay. So when you say trying to get my family involved, you meant trying to get my girlfriend involved.
Yeah.
Because you don't. 2-year-olds don't get a vote. We tell them what to do.
Yeah. She also has 2 previous children.
But they don't get a vote.
True.
Okay, so you have a vote, and if your girlfriend's going to hang around and you're going to make babies, then I guess you're going to have to talk about marriage and doing this kind of stuff so that we have a team that is moving forward with a vision for our lives.
Yes, yeah.
How long has she been your girlfriend?
About 4 years now.
Okay. When is she going to be your wife?
When I can afford it.
Honey, you made a baby. You can afford it.
This weekend, dude, make it happen.
It's $26. Okay, anyway, all of that to say, that comes into the equation of she doesn't want to commit to sacrificing for the future because you haven't committed to her. There's a whole lot of relationship stuff going on here. Am I missing something, Dr. Deloney?
No. Tim, I'm not going to get on board with your plans if you're not going to get on board with me.
That's what she's saying.
That makes sense.
What is it about the last 4 years that you're hesitant? Because I've talked to 19-year-olds who have no dollars $0. And they're like, we're getting married. And I'm like, whoa, slow down. And this is 4 years. And you're like, well, I just need to get some more money. Why is that?
Well, it's just the ring. I just wanted to.
Oh, my gosh, Tim, you have a kid. You got a kid. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Besides that, let me help you with this. I've been married 40 years. The rings don't last. The little dinky butt ring we got married with is in the safe and has been promptly and properly replaced with a much larger statement.
I think
that's a good point, Tim. Why don't you just get what you can afford, put a ring on it, and then you can always upgrade later on down the line. I think you're using that as an excuse to move forward. The ring ain't got nothing to do with it. You've got something else that's blocking you.
Yep.
And here's what it looks like, Tim. It looks like you sitting down with your girlfriend and saying, I want to build a life with you. We get to decide. We get to, no matter what has happened in the past, we get to decide what this future is going to look like. Will you build this with me? And when you have that conversation, then you're talking about dreaming and you get very specific. And then that is where you bring in this conversation about, here's where I feel safe. Here's how I want to handle money. Here's how I feel safe handling money. Will you join me in this? That's a totally different conversation than, you need to do Dave Ramsey plan. Like,
look, if I'm dating this guy, and I don't care if we have kids, but he's not asked me to marry him, and he wants me to do things with my money, because at that time it's my money.
Yeah.
We're having a conversation. You know what I'm saying?
That's French.
Conversation.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, probably. I mean, exactly, probably. But yeah. But that's not an unusual thing that people face. And Tim, I'll go ahead and give you one other thing and tell you this. There's, again, back to research and data. There's all kinds of data that it falls into the bucket of the marriage advantage. Married couples, old married couples that have been living together for a long time married, have higher tendency to build wealth. They have better physical health. They have better relationships. I mean, the shacked up thing does not have a good result financially long term. It doesn't end up. So check that out. Something to think about, my brother. Thank you for calling in. We'll always tell you the truth because we love you. This is The Ramsey Show. I saw.
It's got some fans. I don't know if you've seen the Dr. John Deloney show, which is hard to say all in one sentence, but I have with me his producer, Kelly Daniel, here. That's right. She needs all the love and praise to keep him on the rails, okay?
Seriously.
You guys, it's just pray for her. You want to see? Okay, in the lobby, you'll be able to talk to her.
You hear that? She asked about my tattoos.
Tattoos.
Dude, she's got 1,000.
See, all these inside jokes that you two can be a part of if you watch the Dr. John Deloney show. But I wanted to bring Kelly up here just to ask you really quick, what do you love about the show?
My favorite thing about the show is the way that John takes these really complex mental health questions and topics and breaks them down in a way that everybody can understand. Because once you understand something, it's a whole lot less scary. And then he gives everybody some sort of actionable step that they can take away, so as soon as they hang up the phone, they have something to do, which makes you feel more in control. We get emails all the time from people that have been on the show a week or 2 weeks later and said, man, I did that one or two thing that you already told me to do, and things are so much better already. And that's just amazing to see something flip so quickly.
I love that. That's so good. So, yeah, we can clap on that.
Hey, hold on, Eddie. Can I just say this?
Real quick, you can.
I won the lottery when Kelly said she would, I'm a lot. And when she said, I'll take the reins of this thing. Thank you so much. You're incredible.
From our show.
Incredible.
It's true, he stole it. We got a treat for you guys. We got a video to show you guys that shows you just a little bit about what the Dr. John Deloney's about. Check us out.
So what's the show about? Oh, man. That's hard, brother.
What's up? Hey, what are you doing? This is John with the Dr. John Deloney Show. What's happening?
We say the show's about mental health and relationships, how to live a well life.
Listen, take yourself out to dinner. It is rare that I hear a new one, and that's a new one, so well done.
So the show can go anywhere at any time.
On today's show, we talk to a woman who's in love with a hypochondriac and it's so hard, to a dad who's trying to teach body positivity to his young daughters, dealing with big T trauma and family history, to a sister whose brother-in-law has screwed up everything. And we talk to a young mom whose husband keeps making sexual jokes around the kids. Whoa!
Stay tuned. People ask me all the time, man, how'd you learn how to do this? To take those calls and get to it real fast and make some jokes and bring the room up? Truth is, I've been doing that a long, long time.
I got 2 PhDs. I've been doing this for a couple of decades, and I'm still learning every day. Still trying to figure it out as I walk alongside people.
The guests are incredible. They're fantastic. So it's fun to have guests, man, who have done a bunch of fancy stuff. I love it. The heart of the show is callers just like you.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was angry growing up. He never...
That's all you gotta say. That's all you gotta say.
Yeah.
That's all you gotta say. Your dad is intentionally disregarding your requests for how you can best be loved.
Yeah.
And that disregard is violence.
I don't want to try to take the kids from her, but I'm also feel like I'm responsible for their safety as their dad. And
all right, so listen to me carefully, okay?
Yeah.
Your instinct is right, and I heard you say it at the end there, and I love your heart. I don't want to take these kids from their mother. And what I would say to you is she is screaming for somebody to please take these kids from me before I hurt them. Have you ever heard me lie to anybody?
No.
Okay, I'm not starting today. It's not your fault.
You cannot do life alone. You can't heal from hurt on your own. And that's what this show's for, man. And if you will put in the work, if you'll give me a call, if you'll do the hard work, you will change your family tree. And it starts with you deciding you're worth being well.
Now, there's some heavy stuff that comes up in his shows, but what we've been able to see time and time again is that John has been willing to walk with people in their hardest moments, and on the other side of them sharing their deepest hurts and struggles and insecurities, we find healing and hope. And so that's why we're highlighting all of these things, is because there are so many people that are in need of hope in so many areas of life, including their finances, but also in their relationships and in their mental health. So I invite you guys to check that out, to share with your friends, to tell everybody, because am I right in saying that this world is got more than enough bad sources of bad information and negativity? Yes? Then let's do our part to fight against that and shine the light in as many of those dark places as we possibly can. All right, we got about a minute left. As you can see, we've got some friends over there. They're going to be a part of our next.
All right.
Super excited. We're going to be doing a debt-free scream live. How many of you guys have seen a debt-free scream before? All right. How many of you guys have done a debt-free scream in this?
Woo!
Wow. You are in good company. Brace yourself. If you've never seen this or experienced it before, let yourself feel all the feelings, all right? It's a good thing. It's a good place to go there. John will be available in the lobby if you want to talk about them afterwards. It's totally fine. But in addition to that, I'm going to go ahead and get off the stage. We got an incredible segment for you guys coming up right now in about 22 seconds. You guys are killing it. I'll be back in just a bit. I'll see you then.
Welcome back to the Ramsey Show Live. Jade Warshaw, Ramsey personality. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality, are my co-hosts today. We are live with a live studio audience right here in the Ramsey Event Center. A lot of fun today as we launch this, open this building and start to use it for what it was designed for, which is to serve you folks. Whether you're watching from somewhere else, we're serving you that way, or whether you're here in the room, we're serving you. Dustin and Erica are on the stage joining us to do a debt-free scream. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Good to be here. Where do you guys live?
Richmond, Virginia.
Very cool. Well, welcome to Nashville. All right. How much debt did you pay off?
we have paid off $289,737.65.
Way to go.
And how long did this take you?
86 months.
Okay. And your range of income during that
Did you start this when you were 11?
It feels like it.
95,000, and we finished at 300,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Moving on up.
The story here. What do you do for a living now?
I'm a registered nurse.
And I run my own business. I do architectural drafting and design. And I have to say, this building is absolutely beautiful.
All right. Thank you. Wow.
Dave drew it himself.
On the back of a napkin.
Yeah.
Not really. Yeah, no. It's a great architectural firm that we've worked with for the whole campus. So Grisham and Smith have been good to us. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Well, so this is quite a journey. 86 months. I mean, your all's income has gone through the roof. You've gone crazy. What kind of debt was the $290,000?
The debt was $4,000 was a family loan. About $16,000 was credit cards. Over $27,000 car loans. $48,000 in student loans. $8,500 in medical debt. And $86,240 in restitution when I was 17, which I'm very ashamed to even have to admit. And then $100,000 for a Parent Plus loan.
Oh, wow. Man, you guys were normal and then some.
Yes.
Man. So how long have y'all been married?
We got married in May 2014. Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a long time.
So you can mess that up. He can't. Okay.
Just be quiet, dude. Take a dive. Man.
Just say, it's okay, honey. And so about the time you got married, you started on this whole thing. You said, we're going to do this Ramsey thing?
It was a year later.
Okay.
We bought a house.
You bought a house. And then you realized we can't eat.
Well, we found out we got pregnant as soon as we bought the house. And then
Houses
we realized
cause
we
that,
couldn't
yeah.
afford the kids. So,
You can't afford the kid, can't afford the house, can't afford food.
We didn't live near family, so we didn't have family to watch our kids. So daycare was an expense we had to consider.
Absolutely. Okay, so that basically the budget just caved in on you, and that was your wake-up call?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us what happened then.
So Dustin went looking. So we decided when we first set out to see what daycare cost, what can we do? And he found you.
On
and
YouTube.
then, it was a lot to get me on board. I was like, heck no.
Because this is working so well.
I know. So then we sat down and we figured out if we can pay off my parents who helped us with the down payment on the house, if we can pay off our credit cards, we'll be able to afford daycare. So that was the goal. So we got that done, I think, maybe a week before we had Declan. So that was the start. And then it's been a long journey since.
Okay, but that got you moving.
Yeah.
But so you didn't just go there and then quit. You kept going.
Yeah. After that, we continued with everything, and we had finished paying. Well, I went to school. So I started working. I was in retail. I went to school for music, just like you, Jade, hence the $100,000 of student loan debt that got me nothing. So I ended up working in management in retail, hated my life. He worked and got a job and then started his own business, and that was able to afford me to quit retail and start school. So we went back to school when Declan was 1.5 years. So that was about 3 years of just one income during this time. And then once I started working, we were able to pick it up. And then COVID hit, so I could pick up all those hours, which helped us to get to that end goal.
Now, COVID was considerably scary if you were a nurse, but you could also make boatloads of money.
Yeah, 5 12-hour shifts is a lot with 2 little ones.
Yeah. Yes. And it's scary the whole time too. But they're writing you large checks. So
Yes, they are.
almost battle checks. Yeah.
So you found the show as a result of trying to figure out childcare, right? You're Googling something and you find it. Did you guys ever get connected to like Financial Peace University
we
or
did.
what was that on-ramp?
We did. We started that early on, and then we attended that together. Before we had kids, I think she was pregnant.
No, we had Declan.
and we had already paid off about $40,000, and then we went and did financial peace. It was just, we felt like it needed to happen so we could put all the pieces together.
I didn't need to hear anything else. I was Dave spoke my language, and he got me right away.
Yeah. But you know, the problem with just catching stuff on YouTube, and there's nothing against that, but you don't get the whole system, what you said. You don't see the holistic way how this is all going to weave together in the end. You can just kind of go, boop, 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 boop. You're just picking out the little pieces. And if you don't see how they all fit together, it's harder. So, Erica, what was it that turned you and got you going? Because you said, I'm like, no.
Okay, we finished in 2021, and we paid off like 130. He went to ITT Tech. I'll let him finish
Which
that.
got shut down, if anyone knows, and John has spoken about that as well. So my student loans was in limbo. I paid on student loans during COVID, but then I stopped because it was in a lawsuit. It was not part of the mass forgiveness because my school shut down. And so we were in limbo for a little bit. So we were piling up money, waiting on the decision in the lawsuit. And once it came out that it was forgiven, I paid on my restitution, which I owed $80,000 left. This was from when I was 17, running around with the wrong kids. And the reason why it was so much because I was with 2 other people, and the one committed suicide. So instead of it being split 3 ways, it was split 2. So I had to pay for not only my mistake, but someone else's mistake. So I had a lot of resentment and feelings towards that. And I almost thought like I wanted to die with it. But once we got to the point where she was on board to pay off her Parent Plus loan, it was all...
Yeah, debt free to you really means free.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, to people who have debts that like may not have been theirs, or they didn't realize what they were signing up for, whatever, just watching you say that, there is something about your body posture that changes when you say, I shouldn't have, but I'm just gonna go do it because it's the right thing to do. I'm gonna go knock it out and be done with it. And you walk six inches taller.
I feel like I'm 10 feet tall, and it happened right when your book came out, Own Your Past, Change Your Future, and that's exactly what I did.
It just dissolves shame. Sometimes action, just saying, I'm taking it, it just dissolves shame.
I was very ashamed of it, and I didn't want to, I don't tell people this. This is the only time in my adult life I'm really telling people out in the open.
Yeah.
But I feel like I just can't let it be a secret because you talk about secrets and stuff, and I feel like I conquered that.
It's incredible.
Like,
it's awesome.
All right, let's bring the kiddos up. I want to introduce them. Yeah. Bring the kiddos on up. So you brought your babies with you. What are their names and ages?
So this is Declan, he's 7. And then Ayla, she just turned 3.
All right,
Yes.
very cool. Well, you guys changed your family tree. We're proud of you. Well done. Dustin, Erica, Declan, and Layla?
Ayla.
Ayla.
Yeah.
200, or I'm sorry, let me do it again. 290,000 paid off in 86 months, making 95 to 300, and a lot of transformation during that time. Wonderful story. Count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
3, 2, 1.
This is the Ramsey Show.
How cool was that? Oh my gosh. All right, this break is about 2 minutes. We got about 2 minutes, 2.5-ish minutes until we're gonna go back into our next segment. You guys, this cool thing about this is you get a visual picture of not just a couple's journey changing, but how that's changing their family tree. And it's just beautiful. We get to see this all the time, and I'm glad that you guys got to be a part of this today, but I still don't get tired of it. Like, I still make sure to go down and be a part of these moments because they mean so, so very much. And you guys did such an incredible job. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, hopefully once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, okay? Don't be going back to that. Once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you guys got to cheer alongside of them. So, so, so great. All right, a couple of things to go over before we head into our next section. First of all, can I just take a moment with you guys in this room? Can we just say thanks to our production and volunteer crew that has made all of this happen? Especially my guy Jake over here. He's been hustling so hard. He's essentially just slept here for the last 2 months because he's had so much to do, and he's just been killing it. So thank you guys. Thank you so much, everyone in a blue shirt. Make sure you smile at them and tell them thanks. A lot of them are our team members that have worked all week and still volunteered to be here just to be a part of this weekend. So thank you guys. Appreciate you so very much.
Back live from the Ramsey Event Center with a whole live studio audience. It's a lot of fun. Jade Washaw, Ramsey personality, and Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality, are my co-hosts today. If you didn't know, I've got a note here somewhere. I'm supposed to make sure I hit this, that we are going to be live streaming the first 2 lessons in the SMART conference in the morning with Rachel Cruz and George Camel. And if you haven't signed up, it is a free live stream. You can't come because it's sold out. So, but you can watch the live stream and wherever you are in America, and we're going to make that available completely free. Did I mention it's free? Go to RamseySolutions.com/live and join us for SMART Conference in the morning, Saturday morning for SMART Conference. Good stuff. All right, Jay is up next. Hi, Jay. How are you?
Great. Good afternoon. Nice to meet you guys, and thank you for the opportunity to ask the question. Get right to it. Baby step 7, blessed to be on measure, been able to live and save more than ever I ever even imagined possible. In the giving phase of that, could you guys help with how you prioritize where you give and what are the right things so that you don't feel pressure or shamed with everything going on in the world?
Yeah. You know, sometimes when I get too busy because I feel this pressure to help as many people as we can, and then I get fatigued, Sharon I'll get home and she'll go, hey, you're not Jesus, the job's taken. And we've kind of taken that and applied it to our giving. You know, we can't fix the world. Ramsey Family Foundation doesn't have infinite resources. As a matter of fact, I would guess that of the people that come to us for the different ministries and so forth that come to us, we say no to 95% of them. And they're all, just about every one of them are valid. They're legitimate needs. I mean, there's a child at the end of this that needs some help, and I can't help them. We've only got so much money, and we put that money on this thing, and that means we can't put it on this thing. And so you got to get comfortable with the idea you're not Jesus. You're not God. You cannot do everything that needs to be done. You can't. There's no person on the planet has enough money to cover all the needs of the planet. It's just not there, and it's not how it works. And so there's no end to that until you divorce yourself from this need to serve everything. So I don't feel guilty when we don't give to those. I feel sad sometimes. I wish we could. I wish we had more funding that we could do that, but we don't. And so it's not a guilt. It's more of a just, that's a really good one. Let's try to get to that maybe next year, or let's just keep that in the back of our mind. See if let's certainly pray for them. We can do that, But I can't be everywhere. I can't do everything, and I can't give enough to cover all the needs. And if me taking care of everybody is what it takes to get rid of my guilt, I'm always going to have guilt. So you just got to reframe it in that sense. John, any ideas?
The two things that my wife and I do, one is we sit down and what are things that we want to see different in the world, and we keep those things really close, right? I love the right hand and left hand. It's just a personal thing between me and my wife. Like, we're really troubled by this, or we want to help this particular family out, and that's between us and them. The second thing is it's turned into, I don't play video games. I'm just not that cool. It's turned into that type of enjoyment for me. Going to Waffle House. I take my son to Waffle House every Tuesday morning. He's a middle schooler. And watching him, the first time we tipped a waitress $100 on a $20 meal, and watching her start crying and lean up against the coffee machine because this is gonna keep her lights on, and him going, oh man, right? That's that to me. So I give, I know it's helping other people, but honestly at this point, I'm benefiting, I think probably more. I love it. So it's just become a fun thing to do.
You want anything?
I think you guys covered it. I have a similar story as John did, and I just think that learning to enjoy those moments, and my screen says, how do we live and give without feeling ashamed? And I think that the earth is God's and everything in it, and if he's blessed you with these gifts, and you have the wherewithal to understand that you're stewarding that, and you're being generous, and you're doing all the things, and you're being led as you see fit, then you're doing right, man. You're doing the right things.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. Up next is John. Hi, John. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Where do you live?
Findlay, Illinois.
Good. Welcome to Nashville.
Thanks.
How can we help?
I was wondering how to convince friends and et cetera that you can live without credit or credit cards besides just example.
Well, I haven't been able to.
All my friends use them.
Yeah,
Facts.
I've got friends and family members. The vast majority of them don't do a stinking thing I teach. So, and so being an example in front of them, early in this process, the first thing I ever did with this material, this biblical ways of handling money, was I was teaching a Sunday school class at my church. And I was so zealous and so passionate. I wanted everyone to do this stuff because it sets you free, and you can become prosperous, and you can become generous, and the benefits are just unbelievable. And I was just so passionate about it, like I had discovered the key, and it was really disturbing to me that not everybody was. So I spent a lot of energy trying to convince somebody that didn't give a crap. So somewhere in there, I decided I'd no longer answer questions unless they're asked.
Yes.
And people ask me 3 hours a day on here questions, I answer them. But if my friend drives up in front of the house, which happened not long ago in his new car that was leased, he didn't come over there for a lecture. He didn't come over there for me to tell him he's stupid, although he is. But he didn't come over there for that. He came over there to show me his new car.
Now, if you ask Dave, what do you think? He'll tell you.
Now, there's a problem then, because you done stepped in it then. But, yeah, that's the truth. I mean, but if you, I mean, and if I can
that's
get
my
you,
rule. That's my life rule too. I'm not going to answer questions like
situation
that.
where I almost force you to ask, I'll do that too. But you have to ask, meaning that there's some indication that you will actually do what the answer is. But people who are running around this culture all over the place answering questions that nobody asked, they're a pain in the butt. And so I just quit doing it. I love people where they are, and if they need me, they know what I am, they know who I am, they know you. They know you live debt free. They know how you are. And so, and they know if they need to, if they hit the wall and there's a problem and they go, man, I can go to John because he can tell me how to do this now that I've really screwed up enough that God got my attention, you know. But until then, you know, you can just, all the sermons in the world won't work.
Well, yeah, because you can't fabricate that moment. Everybody hits that moment in different ways when they realize, man, I've got to change. Or, you know, you've got that I've had it moment, or that moment where it just hits the fan and it's like, I've got to do something different. And until that person is at that moment, willing to make a change, looking for something different, then you're just, I mean, you're hitting a brick wall. You're running into it every time because you can't create that for someone. They've got to do that themselves and hit that moment themselves.
Both of these questions to me are about identity. Like, I have value because I can give a lot of money away, or I have value because I've got a lot of knowledge away. And I want to tell everybody, you got value, whether you got something to give away or not. You got value just because you are. And if your identity is, I only have worth because I need to give you this, I need to give you this, I need to give you this, that's not a problem with the receiver, that's a problem with us. And I'm looking at me because I'm a pathological giver. Like, I got to tell you how smart I am. And the world's like, nah, we're good. So there's something about me having to look in the mirror and be okay with me, and that's hard. Be okay with my relationship to God. Be okay with my relationship with my wife and my kids. That's really, really hard because culture says yell, 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 give, and I just got to unplug from that being my identity.
Yeah, John, thank you. Good question.
Very good.
Jade Warshaw, Dr. John Deloney this hour here on the Ramsey Show live.
Hey, it's Dr. John Deloney. If you like what you
Something special for you. Like I said, we're going to be highlighting shows all throughout this time together. And so I have with me show producer Alex Chatfield, who's here and who works on the Ken Coleman Show. Ken's going to be joining us on stage in a little bit, but first we wanted to give you guys a highlight of what he does on the Ken Coleman Show. And Alex, I know we're going to show a clip in just a second, but maybe you could tell us a little bit about it and like what we're going to see in this.
So the average person is dissatisfied at work. Studies shows that only 21% of people feel satisfaction and enjoyment with their work.
Yeah.
So this is an example of a clip of a caller who called into the show actually, and just what so many people feel every single day.
Absolutely. Okay, so without further ado, here's a clip from the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken.
Hi, Eileen.
Hi. How are you today?
Well, I'm living the dream. What are you doing?
Just being miserable.
Well, you have come to the right place because we're going to get you out of that misery, right? Let's get you out of it.
Oh, good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
What's going on?
I've been a environmental health and safety manager for 13 years, and currently I work at Amazon.
Oh.
And my experience has been extremely toxic.
Bless your heart. You're about ready to break down.
I already have.
What's going on? What's causing this emotion?
I don't want to go back to work.
Oh, sweet Eileen. I'm so sorry.
So I just need a plan.
Yes.
To land my new dream job.
Okay. Well, let's first talk about this powerful emotion. You're just gutting it out every day when you go in.
Yes.
What do you make at Amazon?
I make about $145 a year.
Okay. So that's our challenge because we need that 145 or something really close to it. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So are you applying? Are you looking aggressively right now?
I've been aggressively applying for the last 4 months. I've had multiple interviews. I've had people where they're like Rivian, like, oh my gosh, you got to work here. I go through the process between 3 to 9 interviews, and then I don't get picked.
That's okay. You got to keep going. You have no choice. We just keep going. What I want you to do is I'm going to give you my book, The Proximity Principle, because I think this is the deep dive read for you. This is all about connections. You got to keep going, but we've got to start really leveraging relationships that you have. People who know somebody, who knows somebody, who knows somebody. I don't care if it's 8 levels. That's how you're going to get the job.
Oh, okay.
We don't want to just apply and go through the normal process. We want to target a company here, a company there, and we go, who do I know that works over there? Who do I know that knows somebody that works over there? And we're working that connection.
Yeah, let's make some noise. Hey, making their way back out for this hour of the show. You guys know Dave. He's an old friend. Introduce you to Ken Coleman. America's sweetheart, George Camel, over there on my left. Apparently you're the room sweetheart as well. They like you, George. Yeah.
So kind.
Fan favorite. That's really great. All right, so make sure that you guys tune in and catch the Ken Coleman Show. It is fantastic. He walks people through all of these different walks of life, wherever they're at, meeting them. And we lovingly call him America's career coach. But I want to focus on that word coach because that's exactly what he does, is he meets you where you are and helps you get to where you want to be. All right, so make sure you tune in because I know a lot of you were like, oh man, I'm really feeling for that lady. And a lot of you were like, shoot, is Amazon hiring? Because 145 sounds pretty great right now.
Make sure you can hear something out of him.
Oh, okay.
He's got so many resources. He's got so much wisdom. We just got a quick flyover in that clip, but he's got all of these ways for us to be able to find exactly what we're meant to do in this world, how to do it with passion, purpose, and clarity. I highly, highly recommend you guys check that out. As the boys are getting set up here,
Center, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studios. It's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create actual amazing relationships. We're here in the Ramsey Live Event Center for the first time ever with a few friends, hanging out with some good people. Welcome, guys. Somewhere around 1,500 folks here in the live studio audience. George Kamel, Ramsey personality, host of the newly minted George Kamel YouTube channel, and co-host of Smart Money Happy Hour is my co-host. Also co-hosting this hour, Ken Coleman of The Ken Coleman Show, helping people with their work, with their careers, and with the #1 best-selling book, Paycheck to Purpose. We'll be taking calls from all across America at 888-825-5225. And we're also going to take some questions here from our live studio audience and get to hang out with you guys in person in this process. So let's start with the studio audience. Up first is Tommy. Hi, Tommy. How are you?
Hey, doing great. How are you?
Better than I deserve, sir. Where do you live?
Georgia.
Wow, good. Yes, welcome to Nashville. And your question for the day?
My question is, so my fiance and I are 24 years old, recently engaged 3 weeks ago, and...
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, pretty much. My question for y'all is, if you could go back and talk to your 24-year-old self, what are the top 3 pieces of advice that you would give yourself?
Wow.
Should we narrow it down? There's 3 of us. That's 9 pieces of advice, Ken.
All right, George, I feel you putting the pressure. I'll go fast and leave all the time. So I think the first thing is I would tell myself to learn how to fail faster. And what I mean by that is step into things, try things faster, fail, get into failure quickly, because the quicker I fail, the quicker I learn. And then I would also learn how to get over the failure faster. So that's what I mean by fail fast. Jump into stuff, now not be crazy risky, but just try things, do things that you want to do, and learn through the failure and then get over the failure. Second thing would be hang out with older people more. You know, I'm middle-aged now, and I don't feel that way except for after a round of golf, but I think that the people that have reached the 60s and 70s and 80s have so much to teach us, even now at my age. And I wish I had sat with some older people in my dad's church more and asked them about life and asked them about marriage and parenting. So I would say that. And then I'd say, you said 24, so Stacy and I are getting ready to celebrate 25 years of marriage in May. And so I got married at 23. Thank you very much. And I would have said, apologize faster and better.
Yeah, because you're wrong.
Yeah.
She's not. You're wrong.
Yeah, so he's absolutely right. So that'd be my 3 things.
For me, I'm gonna start with this one for the engaged couple. The best marriage advice, I think, is to outserve each other. And if you do that from 24 to 74, you will have an amazing 50-year marriage. On the money side and on the life side, you have time. I meet so many people who are 22 or 32 and they're going, I ruined my life. I made money mistakes. There's no time. Dude, you have so much time. And the third one is don't squander it. And so be intentional and realize that patience is the game. And think long-term, have long-term vision, long-term goals, and you'll have a great life and a great marriage.
Wow. You guys are good. Y'all ought to do this for a living. That's pretty impressive. I'm not sure I've got anything as good as theirs. You know, I think one of the things that Sharon and I learned through going broke and 40 years of marriage is just we spend an awful lot of time being talking through things and reaching agreement before we move forward. So we don't do giving, substantial giving. We don't do purchases. We run our calendar and our budget together. And so she says, time to do calendars. And we sit down and look at, okay, I'm going to be traveling here. I'm going to be in Salt Lake City this month. I'm going to be in Anaheim. I'm going to be doing this. We've got this weekend SMART conference. I've got May. I've got Entree Leadership, so I know what my work stuff is. And we've got this with the kids, and we've got this with the grandkids. My grandkids Softball and t-ball and soccer are on my calendar. Don't make all of them, but I make some of them, and they're at least there where I can see them. So managing our time, managing our money, and being in agreement on where they're going is how we have managed our lives together. And it's caused us to be in agreement. Jesus says your treasure's where your heart is. And when you can agree on your spending, you've really agreed on your fears, your future, your dreams. You're agreeing on those things. And when you're not in agreement, you spend so much time and angst pulling at each other and pulling away. I'll do that. The second thing I would tell you to do is both of you make sure you get a really tight friend group of people that win. I've been very careful to put a group of guys in my life, group of men in my life for 25 years now. There was a group for the first 14 years, was a Bible study every Wednesday morning at my office. And then after that, it's been a different group of guys. There's some overlap, but for the next 10 years and currently today, 10 of my closest friends, and 6 of those will carry my casket if I go before them. These are my men. And they've got strong marriages, strong spiritual walk. They're smart at business. They're well-read. Many of them have written more bestsellers than I have. They're successful in their area, and you become who you hang around with. So be really careful who you hang around with. I mean, you can love anybody, and I'm not saying snob people or something like that, but I'm talking about your crew, the people that you're spend time with, because you're going to use the same language they use. You're going to read the same books they read. You're going to adopt the same values they do. You're even going to have their accent. It's ridiculous. And so choose it carefully. Choose it carefully. Be not deceived. Evil company corrupts good habits, the Bible says, and that is very true. So not nearly as good as those guys, but that's my 2.
No, that's good. I would tell you, Dave said something that made me think of something that Stacy and I we've just learned recently walking through this, but the people you start out with won't necessarily be the people you finish with.
It breaks your heart.
And it's hard. I got to tell you. And so be okay with that. So I would tell myself, be okay with that, because we are going this way. This is the life that we're going to choose to live. And not everybody's going to be on that same lane. If we look at a life as a track lane and we're in lane 6, there's going to be some people that you'll start with that won't finish with you, and that's going to hurt, but you're going to have to choose to live your life.
And you don't control all.
No, you do not.
It's not like you climb the ladder and kick people off.
Yeah, you didn't say leave us.
Yeah, that's not what's going on.
That's right.
It's not you're kicking people off the ladder. They chose to jump.
That's right.
Or chose to not climb.
Yep.
Or chose to misbehave in some other way, invalidating their presence in your life. They just do that. You can't keep them from. It's just it hurts. Good question, sir. Congratulations. Very well done. This is the Ramsey Show. Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Ken Coleman, Ramsey personality, #1 best-selling author, host of the Ken Coleman Show, is my co-host today. George Camel, Ramsey personality, is my other co-host this hour, rather. We're taking calls from the auditorium here, our questions from the auditorium floor, as well as calls from across America at 888-825-5225. Chris is next up. Hey, Chris, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's
Excellent.
up?
So as you're aware, the Total Money Makeover was published in 2003. And I'm sure you're also aware that the first baby step is to save $1,000 starter emergency fund. So my question, since the book has been released for 20 years, and with the current dramatic rise in inflation, do you still feel $1,000 is the correct amount to start to be successful with your plan?
$1,000 was not enough in 2003. It was never designed to be enough. It's enough to buy an alternator for a car, or a tire, maybe one or two. It's enough to take your kid to the pediatrician if they're sick, but it's not enough to be a real emergency fund. It's enough to keep the little things from kicking your butt off the get out of debt wagon. Because when we first started this stuff years ago, I said, use all your savings, have zero. And that didn't work, honestly. If you had come to Financial Peace University when I was teaching it with an overhead projector before we had the baby steps, I just was hardcore. Just, like you're in boot camp. Shut up, sell everything, use all your money, don't whine, get your butt out of debt. Because if you don't get out of debt, none of this is going to work. But we discovered pretty quickly that every little thing that came along that wasn't in their little budget the first few months, knock them out, and then they would give up hope. The people in Financial Peace would give up hope because they couldn't do the system. The system wasn't working. So we decided, okay, we're going to give you just a little bit of a beginner starter emergency fund just to knock the little stuff off. If you have a car transmission go out, it's not enough. If you have something big happen, it's not enough. It's not designed to be enough. It's just there and to cover while you go through typically it's about 18 months. Out of the 10 million people that have been through Financial Peace University, it's 18 months to get out of debt, not counting your house. Baby step 2. Now that means some of them do it in 3 months and some of them do it in 30, but the average is 18. So it's designed just to keep the little crap away, but if your car blows up during that 18 months, it's not enough. And it never was designed to be enough. So it doesn't need to be inflation adjusted because it wasn't supposed to be enough. But good question. Thank you, sir.
I just want to say something very quick about inflation because that's all we hear about. It makes you click, and that's what the media is supposed to do. But understand that the reason why inflation is stubborn, folks, is now wage pressures. And that's fancy economic language that I barely understand. But it means that hourly rates and salaries are at an all-time high. And the reason why your Burger King combo or your bread costs more is because they're paying the person in those positions at Burger King and the grocery store more. So when I hear that question, I think it's a good question, but let's also understand that we, the people, still have tremendous individual responsibility and power to see in this economy where we have about 4.5 million more jobs available than there are people who are unemployed. And right now, in the gig economy, which means I go out and do something part-time, and freelance economy, there is more opportunity to make really good money. So if you're gazelle intense and that $1,000 isn't enough, you go make you some more money and pay for that alternator. You can go make plenty of money in this economy right now.
That's a great point, Ken. And on top of that, Ken makes a great point. People don't think about, okay, let's walk through that worst case scenario. You have an emergency that's more than $1,000. What do? We tell you to pause the baby steps and stack up cash really quickly. And most people doing the plan, they didn't have much more than $1,000 to begin with. And so this hypothetical scenario where they had so much money and could cover all these emergencies, it just doesn't exist. If we made the emergency fund in baby step 1 $5,000, we would have a tiny portion of the population be able to do that and have the hope and motivation to continue.
Yeah. But Chris's question, if you were going to say the plan is, let's say we got to baby step 3, and instead of saying 3 to 6 months of expenses, we said $10,000 or $15,000 in 2003. Now today, would we need to say, okay, that's not correct anymore? We would need to adjust it because it's not enough. If it was enough in 2003 to have a $15,000 baby step 3, it's not enough in 2023. So his concept is valid, but it doesn't apply to baby step 1. And the good news is that the other baby steps are not fixed amounts. That's the only one that's a fixed amount. The rest of them are percentages. And so they flow out of that percentage, and the percentages will adjust with inflation and with wage pressures and with everything else. So, you know, okay, $1 million isn't what it used to be in your retirement account. True. But $1 million is just a milestone. It wasn't the only target. We said put 15% away in baby step 4, and hopefully 10 million is what you get. You know, I mean, so, you know, it's adjusted that way. And so 3 to 6 months of expenses. Your expenses have changed since 2003. They should have, yeah. And so your emergency fund would need to be bigger today, your baby step 3 one. So his concept is accurate in questioning a fixed number from 2003, but it also gives me the opportunity to explain that baby step 1 wasn't ever designed to be that in the first place. Because I get that, you know, some of these idiots on TikTok or whatever that are, you know, Dave Ramsey doesn't know what he's talking about. His stuff's outdated. Yeah, that's right. It's out. You know, the law of gravity is now outdated. So,
but Dave, you've told people on air before. Have you tweaked that $1,000 number based on a very specific situation, where you went, all right, fine, you can do 1,500, you could do 500.
You know what?
What are the scenarios?
The other thing I realize is that this didn't. You know, none of these baby steps came from the Bible. They came from our experiences of coaching thousands of people, and so they're not absolute truth in that sense. They're based on concepts that are absolute truth, but they're not, the baby steps themselves are not magical. All they are is a clear path, and everybody needs a clear path to do whatever they're going to do. Ken teaches a clear path to get into a new position and a step-by-step process. You've got to have a clear path. You know, if you get ready to go to college and you want to graduate, there's a clear path. It's called a syllabus. Take the freaking classes, get the degree. You know, there's a clear path. You know what you have to do to get there. And so winning always involves a clear path and a process. So that part, and I'm aware, George, that somebody's going to decide to do whatever they want to do because they're like grown-ups and stuff. But I'm not going to vary on the air, because every time we vary on the air, we not only vary for that single person that's that we're talking to, but 22 million other people are listening. And so then you start to blow up the whole idea. And the beauty of the baby steps of the clear path, including the one that Ken uses, is we don't vary from it, because and then people start to believe it because it's a proven path. It's a proven system. And if you submit yourself to a proven system, then you can hit those goals. So it's a really good discussion.
Well, everyone thinks they're special. Everyone thinks they're unique. They're the outlier. You know, like, oh, well, Dave, you don't understand my situation.
You are, but that doesn't exclude you from the law of gravity.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
You know, I'm special. You're going to hit the sidewalk. Shut up. I mean, it's like, you know, that's it. I mean, you're special, but you're not, you know. That we all are. I mean, you're unique. You have unique situations, and that's what makes the show interesting. People calling in with unique family life and unique situations. You're going, that's cray. You know, it's entertaining. You know, but the principles that we guide our lives by, you know, like you all told the young guy there, you know, be sure you apologize early and often. That's a great principle. Okay. Does it apply every single time? No, I don't need to apologize to my wife if she runs over me with a car. You know, it's her fault, you know?
That was a very specific scenario, Dave.
I know, but I'm just trying to think of something bizarre, right? You know, somebody misbehaving, you know, so, but is apologizing a good principle? You bet it is. Quickly, early, and often? You bet it is. It's wonderful. It's a sign of strength, of confidence, of humility. It's weak people that can't apologize. It requires courage. So those are simple things, but these simple concepts do apply universally. This is The Ramsey Show.
Smile and wave. Everyone smile and wave.
Oh, there you are.
You know how many photos Dave's taken of me in his lifetime? 0.
Wow.
I shouldn't have asked for
He
that.
didn't even take a picture.
I shouldn't have asked for that. He faked it. I know you saw.
He just gets them off the internet. They're more exciting that way. Hey, guys, I'm back out here with show producer Alex Chatfield. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You know, it's pretty sweet having our hosts cycle through. It's kind of like we get to binge watch the show. You don't even have to like click next episode. It's just auto playing. But in case you are not getting enough, we have a brand new show to introduce you guys to, the George Kamel YouTube show extravaganza. It's about time. We've all been waiting. The people have spoken there. That's why. We're just going to use that picture. We'll take a picture of that picture. George, that is a striking photo.
Thank you.
That's great. How long did it take you to do your hair?
Photoshop does wonders.
Photoshop does do wonders. All right, we're going to show you guys.
The light in his hair looks like he's got highlights.
I look like a Backstreet Boy.
Yeah.
Tell you what people don't know is, because George is so thrifty, he got that jacket on sale at Gap Kids.
The kids' clothing's cheaper.
And that's exactly the kind of content you're going to get on the George Kamel YouTube channel. We're going to show you guys a clip from this, but I wanted Alex to kind of give you a little bit of context about this clip and then tell the people why they need to watch the show.
Well, first of all, you need to watch the show because if you follow the trends, you'll fall for the traps. That's something that George says all the time. So if you want to avoid those mistakes, you want to definitely subscribe to this channel. Also, we're going to share a clip from a video that we released Wednesday called How Crypto Millionaires Lost Their Fortune. And so in 2022, we saw a huge crash in crypto. So George unpacks that. He also talks about where you should put your money instead of crypto. So great stuff. And you can experience George's wit and humor along with that. Yeah.
We love it. All right, let's check this out. This is from George's brand new YouTube channel that just launched this week. Check it out.
Can we all just harken back to better times, simpler times, to when crypto was gonna make us all rich, and you were actually kind of weird if you weren't in on it and you didn't own any? And in the aftermath of COVID, NFTs and crypto coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum shot up in value. Bitcoin even hit an all-time high in November of 2021 at almost $68,000. But then, crypto market crashed, and it crashed hard. Which made commercials like this age like milk.
Fortune favors the brave.
Fortune favors those who didn't listen to Matt Damon, as it turns out. You should really stick to acting instead of investing advice. He had a heck of a run there. Good Will Hunting, the Bourne series, the Oceans movies, Ford vs. Ferrari, The Martian, Interstellar, The Departed. Did you really need the check from Crypto.com?
I just couldn't help myself. I know. I'm a trickster.
Many experts sounded the alarm early on about how volatile and unpredictable cryptocurrencies can be. And others also said the crypto market was in a bubble. And here's the thing about bubbles. They eventually pop. And when the crypto bubble popped, the bubble blowers disappeared real quick. So here's how it all went down. In May of 2022, two cryptocurrencies, Luna and Terra USD, suddenly collapsed. By July of 2022, Bitcoin had lost roughly 70% of its value since reaching that all-time high. It was hovering around 21,000 per coin. And the other big digital cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and Dogecoin, well, they took some significant hits too. And that's not even mentioning that basically all FTX investments are now worth $0.
And it's gone!
So, why is crypto crashing? Well, for one, confidence in crypto as a legitimate investment is now starting to fade. Since the beginning of the year, trust in crypto has plummeted by 18%, and more than a third of crypto owners reported selling some of their Bitcoin in July. And one study shows that only about 8% of Americans feel positively about crypto, which coincidentally is the same percentage of Americans who feel positively about the Bachelor franchise.
You literally just came in here to act like that? Are you kidding me?
Fonzie jumping the shark. Thank you for joining us, America. This is the Ramsey Show. We're live in the Ramsey Event Center with 1,500 of our closest friends. George Camel, Ramsey personality. Ken Coleman, Ramsey personality, is my co-host. What you may not know about the Ramsey personalities, we actually enjoy hanging out together all the time anyway. And so we get up here and cut up. It's kind of like what it is when we're sitting in a meeting somewhere. We just cut up and argue and fuss and fight and make fun of each other and everything else. So it's kind of part of the gig. And we just enjoy hanging out with each other because I like hanging out with smart people. It's a good thing. Hey, by the way, speaking of smart people, thank you guys so much for helping us promote this show. This week we are number 11 podcast in the entire world. Wow. Sometimes when someone says they're a number something podcast or a number something best-selling book, they're like, okay, I'm the number one best-selling book on Amazon among people who own French bulldogs or whatever. I mean, it's these little nuanced categories, but this is the entire freaking universe of 3 million plus podcasts. We're number 11. So thank you guys very, very much. Our guys are, for some reason, they are desperate to be in the top 10. You can help us if you share the podcast, if you share a link on it, if you let people know that we're out here, if you leave a review, a 5-star review. If you want to leave 1 star, Mama said if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Don't bother. Just keep your butt moving on to something else if you don't like it. It's okay. And that's what we're doing, and probably not going to stop doing it this way. So anyway, move on, and thank you for that. And so share, subscribe, leave a review. That's it. Yeah, do all those things. Click the follow button and all that stuff, right?
That's the new thing. Yep, on Spotify, it's now a follow, and Apple as well.
Yeah, okay. So follow. Thank George knows the technical.
I keep up.
So, yeah, that's good. So, yeah, I just have people that tell me what to do around here that know these things. So, all right, let's go move back to the studio audience. Jessica is here. Hi, Jessica. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Better than I deserve. Where do you live?
Fort Worth, Texas.
I love Fort Worth. Welcome to Nashville.
Thank you.
How can we help?
My husband and I are debt-free, except for our mortgage.
Yay.
Thank you. Awesome. Thanks to you guys. So here's my question. I've been waiting to see what is going to happen to our credit score now that we have no other debt except our mortgage. I'm not sure if it's going to eventually become unreportable or if it's just going to dwindle down and make it harder for us to buy another house, which we might be doing in the next year or so. So what will happen to our credit score?
Well, we're not sure, to be honest with you, because the folks at FICO hold, for good reason, and they should, hold the details of their algorithm very tightly. Because if they didn't, then people would spend their entire lives trying to manipulate their score. So they should not put out how this works. But what we think we see, number one, aside from that, we do know that if you have zero activity and zero accounts open of any kind, the only thing are reported are closed, paid off accounts, that in somewhere around 6 months, as you said, your score will be undeterminable. But you have an account that's open. It's called a mortgage. So you're sitting there paying the payment, paying the payment, paying the payment. Wait a minute. I got a test case right here. You had a mortgage, and then you paid it off. Before you paid it, and you had no score when you got the mortgage.
Correct.
So I would assume you got a score after that. So what you're sitting there with one account, a mortgage, paying it. What happened to the score?
It disappears after 6 or 7 months.
No, after you paid the house off.
Oh, it sticks around.
While you were paying the house, though, you had a score.
It created a score, and it was a
Did the score go down, though, after it came in?
No.
What was your score? Do you know?
I think it was in the 700s.
So with just a single house payment, paying it on time, no other accounts at all, you had a 700?
Yes.
Then you'll be fine.
So it's not going to ding you. Now, here's the thing. If you're going to buy a house within 6 months after you pay it off, you think, or would it be a while?
We're probably about a year out from buying a house, and we've been debt-free except the mortgage for a little over a year.
But you're not going to pay off the house before you buy the next one.
We probably won't pay it off.
Okay.
So you're going to be sitting there just paying a payment like he did with a single one account open that has activity on it, and you pay it on time. You're probably going to be in the 700. I've got a one-person case study that I based that on, okay?
Very scientific. But anecdotally, that's what I've seen as well.
Conceptually, that's what we've heard, is that it doesn't just like keep going down into the 600s, the low 600s, even down into 500s, right? Just because you only have one account. If you only have one account, you pay it properly on time, it should level off. Now, you're not going to get an 880 with that, because an 880 is people borrowing, paying, borrowing, paying, borrowing, paying, borrowing, paying. They're trying to drive the score. And we do know that there's 5 things. FICO publishes this. There are 5 things that cause your score. All of them are related to being in debt and how you relate to debt and how you pay the debt. None of them are related to your income, your financial health, your net worth. We do know that. FICO publishes that. So the FICO score is not a measure, for those of you that don't know, of financial health. It's a measure of how much you've been playing kissy face with the bank. That's all it is. And so, you know, to worship at the altar of the FICO score is to worship at the altar of Bank of America, which is a really stupid butt idea. But in your case, you've got a very valid thing that you're trying to manage your life in such a way while being responsible that doesn't keep you from getting this next house. But it sounds like you're probably going to be, I mean, generally speaking, you probably, if you had up close to 800, you paid off a bunch of stuff, and it's come down into the 700s, or you know, and it should have leveled off, and it should just sit there. That's what we've been seeing in general, and I'm glad I could confirm that with you. I just realized I had one sitting here.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
And there's 3 things that would happen. Number 1, you guys upgrade with cash, which would be a cool goal for your next house. Number 2, you get a mortgage and you still have a credit score, and the mortgage company uses that, and it'll probably be a good score. Or number 3, the credit score goes away and you go through the manual underwriting process. And so either way, you're going to be good to go there.
Yeah,
you're doing it the right way.
But the credit score will not go away as long as you have that mortgage on the books. Yeah, good question. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you being here today. Let's go to Nick in Milwaukee on the phones. Hi, Nick. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon. What's
okay,
up?
my question is, I was told that we should get a home equity line of credit to add to our retirement profile.
Who told you that, Nick?
What is your thought? I was told by our banker that
makes sense.
No.
That makes sense.
Your banker told you you should be in debt? I'm so shocked.
Wow. Well, we're not bankers, and so we have your best interest at heart. They just want your interest. And so here's what I would tell you. The HELOC puts your home in jeopardy and puts you further into debt. And so I don't understand how this is a smart part of like a wealth building plan. The smartest thing to do would be to pay your house off, not use a HELOC, pay cash for everything, and not have your home at risk, because your home is collateral with that HELOC.
Correct.
That's a safer retirement in my book.
Nick, let me just be real, very, very clear, okay? If you want to build wealth, the best thing you can do with a banker is never talk to them again. Okay?
Okay.
I have never met a millionaire that says, I used all my banker's advice and so I became a millionaire. Never once has that ever happened. It's never come up. They're really, really bad at everything except getting you into debt. If you got a financial planner that works at your bank, don't use them. Get another one, because he couldn't get a good job. I mean, he got stuck at the bank. I mean, it sucks. So, that's the thing you want to do for sure. That's just, oh my goodness gracious. Yeah. And the second thing then, Nick, is to always be sitting with someone with the heart of a teacher. And when you have a conversation that sounds like the one he had, when you get home, you need to take a shower because you've been in the presence of slime. And so it's, and we all know that feeling, right? And slimy people. And so you need someone with the heart of a teacher, not the heart of a salesman. That guy had nothing to do with Nick's best interest.
They sell debt. That is what they do.
Matter of fact, I don't even want my savings account where that guy is. He's either after you with malice, or he's just dumber than a rock. And both are really dangerous. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. We're here with 1,500 of our closest friends at the Ramsey Live Event Center. Ken Coleman, George Camel, Ramsey Personalities are my co-hosts today. A lot of questions, particularly this time of year, about taxes. Let's unpack one from one of our listeners. What happens if you file your taxes late? You'll be penalized. And if you pay them late, you'll be penalized with interest. And you definitely want to avoid that, especially if you owe taxes. Here's why. If you miss the tax filing deadline, you'll be charged a late filing penalty, a failure to file penalty, a just we don't like you penalty. They come up with all kinds of penalties up there. It's pretty cool. And the longer you wait, the worse the penalty is, and the more the interest is, longer you wait to pay. There is no penalty if you miss the deadline and don't owe taxes. But if the IRS owes you a refund, of course, you won't get your money back until you file. Here's an interesting thing, too, that we've learned over the years. People in crisis with their taxes, or in crisis with their finances and their taxes, they do not put people in jail for failure to pay. They will put people in jail, 2,579 last year, for failure to file. It is against the law to not file your taxes, but we do not have a debtor's prison yet. And so not paying your taxes is obviously not a good idea, but the big thing is make sure you file. And the best thing you can do, even if you can't pay, is file on time.
Yeah.
Because it gets rid of some of the other penalties just on failure to file. So for God's sakes, file your taxes. And I'm off the grid. No, you're not. You're just
My favorite
stupid.
is the crypto bros who are like, it's unregulated. I'm like, what's the first question when you file your taxes? Did you make money from crypto? So much for your unregulated money, guys.
Yeah, any
just
income
committed
you
tax
have
fraud.
in America, if you're a U.S. citizen, is taxable. It's period. I mean, it's just unless it falls under a deduction under the regulations. But you don't get to go, oh, well, I don't have to report that. It's cash. No, that's not how it works. So, all right. Okay, open phones this hour at 888-825-5225. And we're also taking live questions today from our live studio audience from the floor. Up next is going to be Matt. Hi, Matt.
Hey, how are you?
Great, man. Where do you live?
Doing good. Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Very cool. Good to have you, sir. How can we help?
So just wondering if, when my parents pass away, if they have debt, where does that go?
Well, when someone passes away, what you own has to stand good for what you owe. And so if they have any assets, like say they had a house, or say they had a car or something like that, those items have to be sold to pay their debts before there's an inheritance. If there's money in a bank account, it had to be used to pay their debts before there is an inheritance. If someone dies with a negative net worth, where they owe more than they own, then some of those debts are simply not going to be paid. Children do not inherit debt in America. Okay, our current legal system, you do not inherit debt. But it does keep you from, you can't go, I'm going to keep Grandpa's truck, but we're not going to pay any of his bills. No, that's not how it works, okay? Grandpa's truck is one of his assets. And so you can't just go, I get to keep the assets and not pay the debts. But you don't have to worry about inheriting a bunch of debt from someone who's got a horrible financial situation, all debt and no money or whatever. But you can't keep things. The biggest place that comes into play that's really painful is if one of the spouses, they've kept their money separate, which is stupid, and one of the spouses has run up a bunch of debt, and they own a house together. And so Papa dies, and Papa has $80,000 in credit card debt because Grandma couldn't tell him nothing, right? And so, but they own a house together. Well, she's got to pay that $80,000 in credit card debt in order to keep the house, because half of that house is his, and it has to stand good for his stuff. And so you can't, that's the problem with being in partnerships with people too, is you get into this exact same mess. So, but as far as you, like for your parents as an example, I don't know if you're talking about for real example, but if your parents died and had a bunch of debt, it does not wash over to you, but you can't have any of their assets until that debt is paid.
Yep. And if you co-sign for it, you would be liable. But as long as you're not a co-signer on any of their debt, you're good. The creditors may try to come after you. They don't have any legal standing. You send them a death certificate and it goes away.
People get confused, like, I want Grandpa's house, but do I have to pay his mortgage? Yeah, because they'll foreclose on the house. You're not technically liable for the mortgage, but they have a lien against that house. And so they'll take the freaking house if you don't pay it. The weird thing is you can actually take over the mortgage and you're still not technically financially responsible for the mortgage, but in someone's death. But the house still stands good for the mortgage. And so if you want to keep the house, you got to pay the mortgage, and so or pay it off or whatever you're going to do. So those things stand that way. But when you die, your net worth is what you own minus what you owe. If there's anything left, only then is there an inheritance. If there's a negative figure left, then somebody's not going to get paid. And we've had to walk, sadly, in financial coaching sessions through with people where we go, okay, Dad died and he left $60,000 worth of credit card debt, and they're calling me wanting the money. And I'm like, well, you don't owe the money. So all you got to do is get your dad's death certificate, send them a copy of it, and go, here you go, Bank of America, here's what you get, nothing, which is kind of fun. But yeah, because it's what you deserve. You own an 89-year-old, $642,000 on a credit card, you deserve to burn, right? And so you get nothing. And just send them the death certificate because that's what they get, nothing. Because there's nothing there. Dad's got nothing. He died in an apartment, nothing. His clothes are all that's there. That's it, penniless. And we've had to walk people through, get the death certificate to get them off your back because you don't owe it. You simply don't. Debt does not transfer generationally. And so, open phones here. Thank you, sir. Very good call. Very good question. Appreciate you. 888-825-5225. Ken and George, talk a little bit about this thing. We're getting more and more and more of it. We had a weird call, I guess it was yesterday or day before, of a will that had gone bad. An estate planning thing that had gone bad, how important it is to get your estate plan in place and inform everyone the details of it while you're alive.
Well, number one, everyone in this room, you guys don't have to worry about dying with debt because y'all are going to be debt-free with money to burn and leave to your children's children. That's the goal. That is my goal for everyone listening, everyone in this room. And on the will side, people think, Dave, they're going to like somehow die earlier if they have a will. But the truth is a will just is how you say I love you to your family. The last thing I want is grieving on top of a financial mess because they don't know where to find half the crap. The government then has to decide what happens through probate. That's a nightmare. It's so much easier in today's world now. You can just do it online. We've got Mama Bear legal forms. It took me 20 minutes and I was done.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I would add is just looking at it as a father of three. And by the way, this plays into life insurance as well. And so I hope you listen to our message about taking care of your family. And I sleep better at night, number one. But number two is my parents are getting older. They're now in their mid-70s, and talking with them and making sure that they've got everything set. It takes the tension out of a season of grieving. And I think that's what I've always appreciated about what Dave teaches about that, is that it's very clear. The directives about what I want to happen with my assets and everything are very, very clear. It takes the argument out of the situation and allows people to grieve and then move on.
And it's part of leaving a legacy. We teach that all the time.
Absolutely.
You want to change your family tree and leave a legacy? Have a will so that we're not happy that you're gone, but we are not grieving over the nightmare we have to take over with your finances and the assets.
Yeah. I mean, the world's worst is a bunch of hillbillies in the backyard with a metal detector trying to find the coffee can.
I got that call, Dave. He had $100,000 in coffee cans. I said, what's your address?
For real?
I'll be right there.
Yeah.
By the way, George,
it still happens today.
Since we're making big announcements, this is not as momentous as what you're saying to people earlier, but I've decided to change my will, and at the time of my untimely death, you will get all of my shoes.
Oh, that's such a blessing. Wait, what size are you?
I don't know if
does that matter.
Size.
Kind of.
You killed the joke, George.
Sorry. I was hoping you were going to say golf clubs, honestly.
Oh, no.
You got some nice clubs.
My shoes are worth way more than my golf clubs.
That's one of those, like, you know you might be a redneck. You know you might be Metro if your shoes are worth more than your golf clubs. I'm just saying. I had to get him back for the Gap. He made the Gap Kids joke. I had to get him back before the show was over.
There we go. See, you walk into it.
That's right.
Yeah. Mess with the bear. I love it. Ken Coleman, George Camel this hour. Good show, gentlemen. This is The Ramsey
Hey,
Show.
George Camel. If you like what you heard in this episode and want to know more about getting started on the Ramsey baby steps, go to RamseySolutions.com and click on the Get Started button. We'll help you figure out the best next step for you based on your specific situation. That's RamseySolutions.com and click Get Started.
Can we make some noise for Ken Coleman, George Camel? Those goons. You guys still having fun? You still doing good out there? Oh, going strong. That's what I like to hear. All right, some of you have already discovered this is a break. So we have about 5 minutes in this break. If you guys need to pop out and go grab another cookie, just keep them going. Actually, they're free. Just get as many as you can in your system. It's good for you. I read that somewhere online. But while we do that, I want to introduce you guys to something that we're really excited about. We have a lot of things we're excited about that's going on because there's a lot of changes, including a brand new host to our Entree Leadership podcast. Who listens to podcasts in the room? Let me see your hands. Who's podcast listeners? Oh, yeah. I don't know if you guys know this, but our newly minted host of the Entree Leadership Podcast is none other than Dave Ramsey. He's been bringing the heat, and so I decided to bring out the show producer. This is Tim Hall. Everyone say hi, Tim.
Hi, guys.
He's super pumped to be out here. It's really fun to stand in front of like 1,000 strangers. So I really appreciate that you're out here to share with us a little bit about the show. Now that Dave's on there, I'm sure it's just a lot more tame, quiet, probably really even keel. What can people expect when they tune into the show?
Well, they can expect, business and leadership questions getting answered by Dave Ramsey from his 30-plus years of experience. Stuff like family business issues, people problems, everything, all the way to hiring and, let's see, what else we got? There's all kinds of stuff we're hitting.
Yeah.
But Dave's bringing his experience to the table and really, breathing life into people as well as telling them when they messed up.
Yeah, and so now that we're doing a caller-based show, so people are calling in, small business owners from all over the nation are calling in with their questions, and he's able to answer those live on the air.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's so cool. I love it. You guys make sure you tune in and check it out. And just to give you a little bit of an idea of what you might discover and find when you tune in, we got to show you this clip. Here, check this out.
So if you're looking for theory from a business professor who has never made payroll, you've got the wrong show. You got questions about business, particularly small business? Kayla is in Evansville, Indiana.
I'm calling because my business is growing and I'm thinking about adding employees.
You want somebody to just talk it through with you? Grady's with us in Vermont.
How do we save for future capital purchases without paying drunk Uncle Steve, which is what I call the IRS or Congress, any extra tax?
I love you enough to tell you the truth, even if it sounds a little bit like I'm mad at you. Griffin is in Seattle, Washington.
Bottom line, I guess my question is, what do I do?
He's got to go, man. There are days that leadership just straight up sucks.
Yeah.
Because I want you to win. We're not in this to lose. A business that does not make a profit is called a hobby. So let's fix this. Let's get her going, boys and girls. Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create actual amazing relationships. We're hanging out today, doing the show live with 1,500 of our closest friends, a live studio audience, possibly the largest live studio audience we've ever had on the show. The phone number, if you want to participate from afar, is 888-825-5225. We'll be taking calls from across America. We'll also be taking questions from here in the auditorium. Rachel Cruz, #1 best-selling author, co-host of the ever-popular Smart Money Happy Hour, and my daughter is with me this hour.
Thank you, thank you. So fun to be here. We should do this all the time.
We should. There's a lot of energy doing this.
So great. Y'all are awesome.
The show is more fun when we're not in a glass booth by ourselves.
That's it.
And Dr. John Deloney, #1 best-selling author, Ramsey personality, also my co-host this hour. Again, the number is 888-825-5225. Evan is going to start us off from the floor this hour. Hi, Evan. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Better than I deserve. Where do you live?
From Kansas City.
Cool. Welcome to Nashville.
Thank you.
How can we help today?
It's a huge honor to be here today. So I grew up in a Ramsey household. I've been saving for retirement since I was 18, and I have no debt. So I just finished my first year of my career job.
Good.
And I'm wanting to buy a house, and I'm not really sure how to do that when my income is currently as low as it is, because, I've just kind of started. So basically, I'm just wanting to know, what's the best way to save for a house while I'm starting a career, because, it's not like...
What do you do?
So I'm a production artist. So I modify artwork to be printed on glass and apparel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So...
What do you make?
19 an hour.
Okay. All right, cool. Very good. Good for you.
Yeah, so I would say, Evan, if I were in your shoes, I would just be okay renting. I mean, you're just starting out. So I'm assuming, how old are you?
I'm 25.
25, that's great. So yeah, at this point, when we look at large purchases, specifically even a home, math plays a huge role in that, right? And so what can you do to create less stress and more margin in your life? Well, going and buying a home right now that's out of your budget and out of your reach will cause less margin and probably a lot of stress. And so I think it's fine to slow step your way as your income starts to build, to put more and more away. And it's okay to rent for a few years. I just feel like renting is such a negative feeling around, I feel like, our culture, right? I just feel like if people are like, oh, you're renting, you're just throwing money away. Oh my gosh, you're just terrible. You're a sinner. You're like the worst. And renting is okay for a bit. And so honestly, I would be okay with it. Have patience and have a goal that you look out and say, hey, in 4 years, I want to have this much money saved. I want to be making this much in a job. And so have things that you're reaching for. But right at this moment, I would be okay just being patient.
Good plan. Yeah, you said it. I'm just getting started. I make $19 an hour. Can't afford a house right now. And that's the reality that you're in. So what you do need to do, since home ownership and wealth building are part of your one of your goals, or some of the things you're asking about, then you need to start seeing a way with your career how you are going to increase your income. And then because that's when you're going to be able to do some of those other things. So you don't want to have a projection say, okay, when I'm 45, I'm making $19.50 an hour. That's not a plan, okay? So we got to have, how are we going to double this? How are we going to triple this? How are we going to start our own business in this area? What other ways can I use this skill that pays a whole lot more? Whatever it is. And it's not to say be dissatisfied where you are today, but I'm saying for your future, we've got to say, my friend Henry Cloud says, when you identify your desired future, yours is build some wealth and own a house. Okay, what has to be true, Henry says, that's not true now? And in your case, we've got to get your income up. And that may be the maturation of your career track. As you mature and walk through your career, that may be the natural way your income comes up. It may be that you go, I'm going to use these same skills and go over here and make 3 times more. But for now, you're fine, and just rent is patience today. But, the culture we live, or the price ranges of homes and the interest rate environment we're in, $19 an hour is not a house buyer, usually, as a single income household.
And Evan,
not.
the other encouraging thing is too, that for you, you said, I've been saving for retirement since I was 18. And I was like, that's awesome. So honestly, when you get a little bit more traction under your feet career-wise and you see your income come up, you can pause investing, save up a down payment, because you're going to be okay. Do you know what I mean? So even when that time comes to throw even more money to save up for a down payment, pause your investing when that time comes.
Hey, Evan, can I use you, since you're standing here in front of, 1,500 of your closest friends, can I use you as a global issue in our culture? Is that cool? So, right, what's he going to say?
What's he gonna say, John?
No, thank you.
Well, I mean, it depends on what issue we're going to cover, John.
I remember being terrible at math as a kid, and I loved it when we had to do standardized testing in math because they put the answer I knew it had to be one of A, B, C, or D, and I always hated it when it said E, like none of the above, because then it took away, I couldn't just reverse engineer the answers all the way. We live in a culture that says, I want a house. I deserve a house, I should get a house. I want a car, I want a great marriage. I want kids that are respectful and that love me. But then we look back at the variables that are making up that equation. It's like, I don't make this much money, but I want to be in this community. I want to live in New York, and I want to make $14 an hour, but I want to buy a nice house. I want a great marriage. I just don't want to talk to my husband, and I want my wife to read my mind. I want to have great kids. I just don't want to tell them no and just give them screens all the time, and then they're going to be respectful. We have to address the variables on the front end of this thing and not the back end. We don't make enough money. We got to start talking to our kids. We got to get more engaged with our spouses. Whatever that looks like, in the back end, the answer to this math problem will always solve itself if we take care of the variables up front. And we stop trying to focus on the answer and get on the front end of that.
Good question, sir. Thank you for joining us. Teachers, if you want to know how important your job is, just ask anyone who their favorite teacher was. I can name about a bunch of them, and they were all my favorites. Have the biggest impact on you, without a doubt. We have the Ramsey Teacher Appreciation Giveaway this month, sponsored by the Army National Guard. It's in celebration of April being Financial Literacy Month. So anyone that is a teacher, if you're an in-classroom teacher, one teacher is going to win a $5,000 vacation to wherever they want to go, and 2 more teachers are going to win a $3,000 vacation of their choosing. And so you're going to pick out where it is. We're going to write them a check for that, and it's, again, sponsored by the fine folks at the Army National Guard. All of us like saying thank you to teachers. If you know a teacher or you are a teacher, go to RamseySolutions.com/teacher and enter. No purchase is necessary. Don't we all love teachers? If you're a teacher out there, thank you, thank you, thank you for what you do and who you are. We really, really appreciate you. Dr. John Deloney, Rachel Cruz, Ramsey Personalities, my co-host this hour, here on The Ramsey Show.
What's the secret?
Oh, we can't get into that right now because we're on a very tight timetable.
We have Lindsay.
Yes, because I brought your show producer, Lindsay Heatherly.
You good? Need anything?
Right.
It's like living in a world with 2 suns. They're so bright and full of life and energy and
That's
goodness.
Sweet.
It's
kind.
true. It's true. So I brought Lindsay out here to talk a little bit about the Rachel Cruz show, which is awesome and fantastic. If you have not seen it, yes, we got some fans out there.
When are they coming up?
We're going to show you guys a clip in just a second, but real quick, Lindsay, can you tell people what you love, besides Rachel, what you love about the Rachel Cruz show?
Yes, I love that Rachel gives practical and tactical money advice around like getting out of debt, saving, building wealth, and she's super fun. She's like your wise best friend that you need in your life. So I love that about the Rachel Cruz show.
True that.
Yes.
That's true. John wrote that about her. So, all right. So without further ado, this is a really tight break. So I want you guys to see this. This is just a little clip to give you a better picture of the Rachel Cruz show. Check this out.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Rachel Cruz Show. So the Rachel Cruz Show is mainly based around your money, but we all know that your money is involved in all areas of your life. I know the challenges that I have with money, and I'm sure that that means other people have those challenges. Budgeting is the thing that has helped me so much. So how can it help you? So my goal for the show and really for the content is I want to hit people right where they're at. So the topics we cover on the show are all over the map, but that's what's important because money affects all areas of our lives. One of my favorites is actually talking about what you could do this weekend to start changing your financial future. It's so important because these little money habits, you guys, are huge. I also love when we have guests on.
I started realizing that that is lots of inventory that I have to manage, but it's also extra money out of our budget that we didn't really have.
Yeah. It's decluttered, Dawn. Don't worry.
Good.
So it's everything from like a car expert to a nutritionist, minimalist living.
Yeah, right. Well, which is
And
interesting.
so I love being able to share my platform with other people who are experts in what they do.
If Rachel Cruz says it's worth it, it's worth it.
I love it.
I'm wrong.
Started with me and a tripod and a camera. This is the introductory video of my new video blog. And now it's a team of 20 people, and I love my team. But just even the heart and the soul that they bring and the ideas, and so what people see, the result of every show, it is such a team effort. One thing I really hope people take away from every episode is just a glimmer of hope. That's what I want for people, to know that they can change the course of how they handle money, and the power is in them. And remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. So I end every show with take control of your money and create a life you love. You may go through seasons of sacrifice to get out of debt and to build up your emergency fund, but you also may go through seasons of life where you get a raise and you get to enjoy your money. And so taking control of your money and creating a life you love are two statements that I deeply believe in.
So Kate Middleton.
Way too much fun at the commercial breaks. This is the Ramsey Show. Thank you for joining us. We're live from the Ramsey Event Center with Dr. John Deloney and Rachel Cruz, Ramsey personalities. Welcome to our 1,500 closest friends. Thank you for hanging out with us today, guys. Today's question of the day is brought to you by Neighborly, your hub for home services. Here at Ramsey, we believe in making home ownership a blessing, not a burden. So we recommend Neighborly's network of service professionals to repair, maintain, improve your home. Find the help you need at neighborly.com. In all seriousness, people, this is a great company, and they have a great group of folks that they work with all across America. Check them out, neighborly.com. Today's question of the day is actually coming from here inside the auditorium. Deanie is with us. Hi, Deanie.
I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're honored to have you. Where do you live?
Miami, Florida.
Oh, fun. That's where Miss Jade is from, that area, down there, Fort Lauderdale area. Yeah, cool. Our Fort Myers area, I'm sorry. How can we help?
My question is about budget. I have a 13-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old daughter, and they hear me talk about budget a lot. A lot of times when I do, it's because I'm about to say no. And, you know, they think budget this, budget that, and I don't want it to be negative. I want it to be positive, but I think a lot about it being positive is to give them the knowledge of what I'm talking about, kind of the intricacies. And so what age do I show them the budget? Because when they see the budget, they see the income, and do I want to tell them how much money I make?
How much money do you make?
As they watch the show, and they're like, oh.
Well, combined, we make $330-ish.
Yeah, okay. You make a lot. Good. I'm glad for you. You want to jump in on, you want to jump in on
You
this?
just made her exhausted. Okay, so I would say our household growing up.
Deanie, the secret's out, so you can have a seat.
I know, sorry, Deanie. Well, like. So we grew up never knowing specific numbers.
But our numbers are ridiculous. And we're in the spotlight as celebrities in the community, and we didn't want some teenager running around, with that information. That wouldn't have been healthy. We're in an unusual situation in that regard.
Sure, but I would also say if you make even the amount of money that's a lot of money.
Makes
so
a lot
I'm
of money.
like,
Yeah, she does.
So I can see the more caution. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we have some friends, and then they do well, and they have teenagers, and they show them everything, and they actually have done this routine a few months in a row because the mom was just so frustrated with like how just kind of like casual they were about money, and she took their whole paycheck, cashed it out, and she had utilities here, cable. I mean, she went through their cell phone, insurance for their car. I mean, she divided everything up on the kitchen table like 3 months in a row because she was like, I wanted them to visually see what was going on. And I thought how powerful that was. So depending on how comfortable you feel sharing numbers, there is a part of me that kind of likes it and to kind of open up that and just to say, I need you to really understand and see this. And then on the flip side, when you said budget ends up being kind of a negative, when you guys do get to do great things, 'cause I'm sure you do with your income, I'm like, you guys are probably able to take some great vacations or whatever it is, say, it's in the budget. Yay, we get to go shopping. It's in the budget. Like make it an exciting thing. So when you do say no, it's not in the budget, they still know that a budget doesn't mean no. Budget does not equal no. Budget means it equals we are in control, which means also we can spend on this side and enjoy, but also we have to have a boundary and a limit at some point and say no. So introducing both. So when something exciting happens with them and they go and buy something or you guys take a great vacation, just celebrate the budget with that too.
We did disclose when they were 12, 13, 14, 15, the household operational budget. It did not disclose our entire income, but so that they could see, okay, this is what the light bill costs. This is what the phone bill is. This is what the whatever, the taxes, insurance, whatever it is, so they could see the basic stuff. Because what we're trying to do here is not control their current behavior. With this lesson, we're trying to show them how this is done properly, because as our friend Andy Andrews says, he said, we're not trying to raise great kids, we're trying to raise kids who become great adults. So we're trying to give you adult skills. And so when I'm talking to a 14 or 15-year-old, I'm speaking to the 30-year-old version of them. I want them to say, okay, the reason I'm showing you this is so that when you're 30, you're this. You understand. And the reason we're saying no is this. And it's not, we never used the budget one time as a weapon. It's not in the budget, we can't do it. Instead, we were saying, we've got these goals, this much money, we're choosing to do these other things with it, and so it means we're not doing this. Because that is how a budget works, is we're actually choosing that. But what we're teaching them there is a critical thinking skill path that says, okay, choices have to be made. Because you're not in Congress, you have a limit on your money. And so you have to make choices, and so in order to say yes, you've got to say no. Now, so in extreme income situations, maybe you would use an operational budget like we did, and if you've got smaller kids, we don't even get into that. But I mean,
with smaller kids, it's about principles.
Well, principles, and there is something to say about a dollar amount. Our 8-year-old, because they're doing chores and earning $1 or $2 here and there, and we went out to dinner after church on Saturday night, because we did Easter on Saturday night anyways, and it was $70 to go out to dinner. And Winston said that to me in the car. He's like, yeah, it was $70. And we were like, okay. And my 8-year-old goes, it was $70? Because to her, it felt like $700. How many chores would that take me to save $70? So I thought, I'm so glad that she heard that, because it is a lot. I mean, life is expensive. And so when they can grasp almost these dollar amounts, there is a tactical lesson where they kind of start to see and uncover.
And Rachel she just looked back and said, don't worry, I'm re-wearing this shirt, so it's going to be Hey, here's one thing I've done differently with my daughter than my son. My son is 13 and my daughter's 7. I over-disclosed to my son and tried to be super hip, transparent dad. With my 7-year-old, it's much more about she's got the toy that the bank that they sell in the Ramsey store. That's the one she uses, and she's got save and give and spend. And one thing I was real bad about was in her spend money, I tried to also control that. And so I've taken my hands a little bit off. So if she wants to buy something dumb that I think's dumb, that's the money she's earned, and it's not going to be there if she decides to spend it. And I want her to learn this when she's 7, not have me curating what she's going to spend later. But she gets when I say this isn't in the budget or we're not going to spend this much money on this thing, she doesn't need to know the dollar amount because she gets the principle, right? And that's been super helpful.
And Deanie, this doesn't come up in your situation, but it does come up. If your family is in a financial bad situation, we don't talk to 7-year-olds about foreclosures.
Yeah.
We don't, that we're to protect them from that. And so what's the phrase you have? Share, but what is the?
Share but don't
Share, but
yeah.
don't scare. And so you can share and say, mom and dad are having a hard time right now, or, we're having to move. But you don't have to go, oh God, it's coming in, because parent, you dump your drama on your kid, it becomes trauma.
Yes,
to them.
But to your point, it's really important to be honest with your kids, because your kids are going to feel your tension. They're going to feel you weeping. They're going to feel all that, and they're going to think it's their fault. They're going to be 7 and think, I'm doing this to mom and dad. Let them know things are really, really tough right now, and mom and dad are scared, and this is what we're going to do. And they get to see an adult be scared, just like all of us, and then act like an adult on the back end and not just scream and kicking.
So the moral of the story is, in your situation, I would open it up, at least operationally, whether it's income or not, as long as you can put around it the idea that we're not going to share our family's income outside this home. Okay? Although I've just made you, but yeah. But but I mean, I didn't want our kids tromping through the neighborhood saying my dad makes this versus what your dad makes. That kind of crap, right?
Would we do that though?
100% you would.
I was a really nice teenager.
You were a really nice teenager, but
somewhere along the way.
Just think about what that phrase means. A really nice teenager. Yeah, there you go. So, hey, thank you. This is the Ramsey Show.
Don't say that.
All right. Back by popular demand, I brought with me Lindsay Heatherly. Your favorite. I know. We won't tell the others. It's fine. I brought Lindsay out here to talk about a show that we have that is actually a newer one, and I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but it's called the Smart Money Happy Hour Podcast.
I love that.
They've heard.
I love it.
This is great. Well, have you guys also watched it on YouTube's? How about that set design? She crafted that by hand. I just want you guys to know that. She made it all possible. She's going to talk about a little bit about it. We're going to show you a little clip from it. But first, I would love for you to explain to these fine folks that maybe don't know and are about to be enlightened what Smart Money Happy Hour is all about, and then share about this clip we're going to watch.
Yeah, so Smart Money Happy Hour, something I love about it is it takes out the intimidation factor about money conversations with people. So Rachel and George, they're money experts, but they're also friends. So this show is them talking about what you find yourself talking about with your friends and family at home. Everything from pop culture, current events, all surrounding the topic of money. So it's really fun, and we have a really good time.
They cover all kinds of things like ChatGPT and Mickey Manilow, right? I think that's another one on there.
Love is Blind.
Love is Blind, which is a popular subject of conversation around these parts. But to give you guys a little bit of taste of that, we're going to show you a clip from Smart Money Happy Hour. Check it out.
Okay, but explain it, because I don't even know if I get it. You just type in.
So it's AI. It only has information from 2021 and previous.
Oh,
so
really? I didn't know that.
If you're trying to Google something that's current and trending, it's terrible because it has no idea. But it is a genius tool to frame up thoughts. It can write copy. It can help you with your resume.
Do it right now. Pull up your phone.
I'm going to do write a funny limerick about Rachel Cruz involving budgets and her husband, Winston.
And it's going to do it.
Would you be impressed if it could do that on the fly?
I mean, It's very specific.
Okay. And within seconds, it gave me the limerick.
Do it.
There once was a gal named Rachel Cruz. Her budgeting skills she didn't abuse. She and Winston, so fine, made their finances align. Now they laugh all the way to the bank. They don't lose. That's pretty good.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So if you need anything written for you.
Yeah. You could be like, give me some motivation about getting out of debt in the style of Dave Ramsey. And it would sound like.
Do it.
All right. Are you sure you want to hear this?
I do, for
Do you
sure.
have any that you're like, you have a dark curiosity about that you're just jonesing for?
No.
Give me motivation for getting out of debt in the voice of.
And they can do it in
Dave
the voice
Ramsey.
of.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Oh, here we go. Okay, give me motivation for getting out of debt in the style of Dave Ramsey. Here's
And it
what
just came up.
ChatGPT is coming up with in real time. Debt can hold you back from reaching your financial goals and enjoying true financial peace. By following Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps, you can get out of debt and take control of your money. Remember, debt is a form of slavery. The more debt you have, the harder it is to be truly free. By getting out of debt, you'll have more money to put towards your future, whether that's saving for retirement, buying a house, or sending your kids to college. The journey may be hard, but the reward at the end is worth it. So let's roll up our sleeves, make a plan, and get to work. The finish line is in sight, and financial freedom is waiting for you.
Holy
That's
crap.
pretty amazing.
Is it going to take us out of a job? I feel like anyone can just get what they
Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality #1 best-selling author. Rachel Cruz, Ramsey personality #1 best-selling author multiple times. And my daughter is my co-host this hour as we're broadcasting live from the brand new Ramsey Event Center with 1,500 of our closest friends. If you don't know, we do this show every weekday, Monday through Friday, from 1 to 4. It's usually 2 of us at a time. We've done a little differently this week because of, or this day, because we're celebrating the opening of this event center. But you can join us anytime outside. Our studios are on the glass down in the Ramsey headquarters in the lobby, and there's always free cookies and free coffee there. And as you guys have had when you came in today, we had cookies and coffee waiting on you when you came in today, and so you could enjoy that same experience. And we love getting to meet the folks from all over America. They stop by on their way to a vacation or their way to whatever. They're in Nashville for something else, and they come down here to Franklin, just south of Nashville, and hang out with us. We appreciate all of you hanging out. We love getting to see you and talk to you and hear your stories, and it keeps us going. It keeps us moving. It gives us the energy. So everything we do at Ramsey is for the people that are not at Ramsey. It's all for the people outside our walls, and you're it. You're why we built this building, so as an example. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, Scott is on the line, or Scott is here on the floor, I'm sorry. Hey, Scott, how are you?
Doing fine. Thank you so much for having us in here. It's a beautiful, beautiful space.
Thank you, sir. Where do you live?
Spokane, Washington.
Oh, I love Spokane. Awesome. Very cool. How can we help today?
Well, I've got a two-part question on transition and patience. Wife and I are in baby step 7, and we are finding it a little challenging to transition from intense to intentional.
Yep.
So just looking for a little bit of sage advice from y'all, how we can downshift.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I think number one, it's a normal thing to face that, because once you've been frugal, you've been very dialed in, to let your foot off the gas and actually enjoy the ride a little bit is not a natural thing. Your body is wired, you've set yourself in motion, you've got this thing dialed in, and now you're saying, oh, we're gonna do something different. And so Dr. John always says on other things, practice a new behavior, practice a new feeling. And so some of the things that Sharon and I did was we were very careful to make sure that we budgeted money to spend, because we hadn't been spending anything. And so we said, okay, we're gonna put money in this category, and we're gonna put money in this vacation fund. And then we're gonna spend it on a vacation. And if there's a bunch of money in that vacation fund, we're going on someplace nice, you know? And when you've been, head down on the grindstone pushing, to stop and do that is an unnatural act. You have to force yourself to do it the first time or two, and then you get better. The second thing we did, and I still do this, to make sure I'm not overdoing it or underdoing it, is we look at ratios. And ratios meaning when I was broke, spending X on a car was ridiculous. Spending 10X that on a car now is not ridiculous, because as a percentage of my world, it doesn't matter. So if you got $1 million and you spend $10,000 on a car, it's nothing. But if you have $5 and you spend $10,000 on a car, it's a lot. So that's a ratio. And so, and we often look and go, okay, if we do this and it's completely wrong, or we forgot to put insurance on it and we lit it on fire, is it gonna change our life? No. Then that's a small ratio. It's a small percentage of our net worth, a small percentage of our income. Then we can enjoy that. And it gives me permission to enjoy it, knowing that I'm not being irresponsible.
If you grew up like me, I didn't grow up with very much. My wife didn't grow up with very much. Money was a topic of war in our homes. And then we got older and we ran up 6 figures in so we did the whole thing, right? Dave said practice. I'm just gonna give you a straight, vulnerable, cheesy answer from our very house. I travel a lot, and I made the decision, for me, I'm gonna start parking right up next to the airport, and it's $1 billion. And every time I did it, I remember not having that money in my checking account for years. And it was a matter of ratios. You can afford this, John. It's okay. And the first time me and my wife were traveling, I pulled in and she said, what are you doing? And I said, this is where I park when I come to the airport. And she said, this is ridiculous, once. And then she was like, oh, this is awesome, right? And so, but literally, as Dave said, it's $35 a night to park there, something like that. For me, that my body still feels like I'm 12, and $35 was our light bill, and we don't have it, right? So I have to say this sentence to myself. I wasn't okay then, I'm okay now. I wasn't okay then, I'm okay now. And then I've got to go do the thing. And it's something little like that, but man, that's been a game changer for us.
You know what's interesting, Scott? I feel like we talk to a lot of people that are just like you. They have this question and they say, oh my God, even when they get into baby steps 4, 5, and 6, like we've just been so intense. And I do wonder, I'd be curious what you guys think about this too. There is something to be said when you go through the baby steps, there is those seasons of sacrifice. And when you're so used to, you know, when before the baby steps, you accumulated, and for some people, you know, go into debt for stuff. And then it's like, oh my gosh, we got to get out of debt. So now we're going to sell stuff. We're going to work extra. We're not going to buy stuff. And you start to live life with quote unquote less stuff. I do think that there is a level of contentment that starts to play into your soul where you realize, wow, we really don't need all that crap that we had.
Yes.
And you get to this point and you're like, some stuff I just don't care to have. Like, yeah, maybe I can afford a nice car, but I just don't really care to have it. Like, I'm good with my, you know, 12-year-old truck, and that's good too. So there's a contentment piece. So I would ask the question, why do I not want to spend? Is it completely out of fear? Because that plays, I think, into y'all. But I also think that there's something to be said of like, we just don't want to, you know, buy a bunch of crap we don't need. And that's okay too. That's an okay answer. So I do want to give you permission, as long as your motivation is, we're kind of just content where we're at. We don't feel like we need more. That's okay too.
And the last thing I would tell folks when you get to this point too is to, out of that contentment and out of the new season that you're in, you're living like no one else so that later you can live and give like no one else, is Sharon and I have experienced that it has given us permission to enjoy the money if A, we're responsible with ratios. It's a small amount of our life. It's not a big thing. It may be a big thing to somebody else, but as a percentage, you know, it's a small amount. And B, we've increased our generosity. There's something about building your generosity muscle bigger, more and more giving and more different kinds of giving, random stuff, just buy everybody's gas at the gas pumps that you're standing there for a minute, or, you know, finding some single mom putting tires on her car, or whatever. I mean, all kinds of random stuff, plus systematic large giving as well. But you just work that giving muscle, then all of a sudden there's something that, I don't know how that's connected in our brains, but it gives us permission to be okay enjoying some stuff too. And so it plays out that way, and that's how I would get at it. So really good question, sir. I appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you for being here. God bless you. There is a thing of, I said this on Megyn Kelly's show the other day. I said, yeah, Megyn, it's like if you're going 100 miles an hour down the interstate and then you slow down to 55. It feels weird. She goes, well, I've never had that feeling. I said, what? You ought to drive faster, man.
Oh my gosh. But it feels like you're walking, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird, everything slows down and changes, and that's that contentment thing too. You know, one of the things I experienced on that, Rachel, that was personally was, I love cars, always have. And I was buying cars when I was a young, arrogant kid for other people to look at. And when I went broke, I no longer care what you think. So now I buy cars because I want them. If I buy a car now, it's because it's the car I wanted. I don't really
and
care.
it's the motivation.
I don't really care whether you like it or not. You know, it doesn't matter to me.
Because some of them aren't great.
I want to drive that. I like that car. You know, that kind of thing. It changes, but that changes the whole equation then when you practice through that.
Yeah.
This is the Ramsey Show. Our scripture of the day, Matthew 5:14 and 16. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor does anyone light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all those who are in the house. Let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. Desmond Tutu said, hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. This is The Ramsey Show. Dr. John Deloney and Rachel Cruz, Ramsey Personalities, are my co-host this hour. It's been a very special day as we have, for this particular 3 hours, been broadcasting for the very first time with our very first live event in the Ramsey Event Center, which is it is owned by a Ramsey trust, a family trust that is entitled Matthew 5, a city set on a hill. And this is on a hill for those of you here. If you walk out front and at night you see this thing, there's plenty of lights. There's all kinds of, there's chandelier you can see for 6 miles away. This is a city set on a hill. This is put up here for the purpose of hope. And so you guys being here today is the culmination of that 10-year vision, that 10-year dream for that to happen. And we're honored to have had you guys today. Thank you so much for being here. In our studio audience here, Mark is with us. Hey, Mark, how are you?
Fantastic, Dave, and congratulations on the event center. This is fantastic.
Thank you so much. We're so honored to be here. Where do you live, sir?
Fate, Texas.
Dallas area?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Good to have you, sir. John's a good Texas guy as well, so thank you. How can we help today?
So my question is, in your 20s, Dave, you became a millionaire, and then you eventually lost it and rebuilt your wealth. Take me and the audience back to the time that you had a conversation with Sharon and you decided your path forward was to share your plan with the millions of lives that you've changed and why you do what you do today.
Wow, thank you. Wow, that's neat. Well, Rachel and John are certainly involved in that and they can chime in. But the history lesson is, you're right, 26 years old and some change, I had banks start calling notes on us. We were doing nothing down real estate before there was Chip and Joanna to tell you how. And we deeply in debt, lost everything over the next 2.5 years. So when I was 28 in September of that year, I turned 28 September 3rd, and shortly thereafter, we filed bankruptcy, filed Chapter 7. Rachel was a brand new baby. She was born in April. We filed in September. And Denise was a toddler, and so with a toddler and a brand new baby and a marriage hanging on by a thread, we've often said we got the opportunity to start over. The thing that the overlay on that was when we first started making money in real estate, before all that happened, was when I met God, when we started going to church. And I met the Lord, and so I was studying Scripture because I didn't know anything. I was dumber than a rock, and so I was studying like crazy about any part of life, marriage, kids, money, anything, just trying to learn how to live and learn what the truth of the Word of God says as a baby Christian, brand new. And again, I didn't know beans. Some of y'all grew up, you know, going to Sunday school when you were 2 or whatever. I didn't know any of that stuff. So, and then, so I'm starting all of that, and then I go broke in the middle of that. So, you know, we've got on the wall down there, if you visit the headquarters down there, I met God on the way up. I got to know him on the way down. And so walking through that process and then learning God's ways of handling money, I didn't set out to do that for other people. I set out to do that because I was sick and tired of being broke. And apparently the information I had from my broke finance professor that told me to go deeply in debt was wrong. So I needed some new guidance. And so I shifted, and then we started living, Sharon and I started living on those biblical principles, and very, very, very gradually we started to turn, and we started to have some hope again. We started to recover from the trauma and recover from the destroyed self-esteem, destroyed reputation, destroyed relationships, and start to put our lives back together a little bit at a time after this hurricane had hit us. and that I signed up for, and so then this weirdest thing happened. Pastor called one day and said, "Hey, there's a couple in my office in foreclosure. Can you show them how to not get foreclosed on?" I went, "Yeah, I used to buy foreclosures, and then I was one. I know exactly what to do." So went over and met with them, and pastors usually don't know a lot about technical stuff like that. If they know something about money, they don't know anything about technical legal stuff. So I got in there, fixed their foreclosure, got them in a plan with their mortgage company and saved their house. And of course, the problem with doing something like that is you do it right, you get to do it again. And so he started calling me pretty regular. So I ended up helping a whole bunch of people, and I started figuring out these principles apply to other people, not just me. But I didn't set out to do that. And I was back doing real estate deals to eat. And I think the last year I did real estate, I made $120,000. And we figured out if we quit doing real estate completely, I'd just gotten on the radio, and they weren't paying me. They were letting me do it for free, which is about what I was worth. And we were starting Financial Peace University, and I was doing some speaking, and I had the little blue Financial Peace book. And we figured out the first year we could probably make $60,000 if I quit doing real estate and only did Financial Peace. And we made $61,000 the next year. And so we took a pay cut in half. And but we started realizing, okay, God's going to take our story and use it to help other people. God's going to take the knowledge that we gain from all that pain and use it to help other people. And it went into a career, and then into a calling, and then into a mission. And if I took a pay cut from 120 to 60 to do it, I sure wasn't doing it for money. And I'm still not doing it for money. So I don't know, you guys have been on this walk with us in the last, obviously you have your whole life, and then, in this last little while. Comments on that?
Yeah, well, from just his perspective, we always laugh because we're like, Dave is Dad, he's probably never really going to retire from what we're doing. So we always kind of joke, we're like, he's going to be 92 and he's going to be doing the radio show. And we're going to be like, yeah, great job, Dave. That was a great show today. And he's going to go home because we're like, he's going to think that he's doing it forever, ever, amen.
There's going to be a small little closet over there, and then just Baker Street just plays on loop, and he's going to be like, all right.
I'm doing it. So I'm saying,
four people listening.
How dedicated he is, though. Like, I mean, really, like he really, that is so true. So true. So, but I know for our positions, it's as Ramsey personalities, it's a different door we entered in to this message, all of us in different places in our stories. But yeah, being able to walk in this message and walk out truly how it's affected us individually. And then what's so cool too now is that, as Deloney's talking about mental health stuff, Ken's talking about career, it's these other parts and these other messages being able to give hope. And so as we stand on stages or sit in front of microphones, that we're able to tell our stories and how this message has really helped us. And for me, I'm that second generation. I am, for so many people, they're working the plan and they have little kids at home. And I'm like, yeah, I was that little kid, I will be your kids in the next 20, 30 years. And so being able to be that voice of hope for people too has been a fun perspective that I've been able to hopefully bring.
I've never said this publicly. I'll tell the story now. This is a personal, just for me story, but it's important, I think, in this time in our history. I had resolved to not be on the internet. I didn't want to exist on the internet. I just wanted to show up behind closed doors and help people and go home. And I like being on stage and all that, but I didn't want any of this stuff. And I was finishing my counseling program, and I remember telling a woman who was one of my professors, a brilliant woman named Dr. Marbley. And she says, "What are you doing?" Because I was the dean of students at the law school. I was getting another degree. And I said, "I'm out. I want to go be a counselor in a small community and just disappear." And she looked at me and put her finger up close, and she said, "You don't get to do that. You got to make this world better, and they'll listen to you. You don't get to hide. Go show people another way." And I just put that in my back pocket. And then one day, this guy called, and then everything's been different.
Thank you guys so much for being here. That puts this hour in the books. We'll be back with you before you know it. In the meantime, remember, there's ultimately only one way to financial peace, and that's to walk daily with the Prince of Peace, Christ Jesus.
About getting started on the Ramsey baby steps, go to RamseySolutions.com and click the Get Started button. We'll help you figure out the best next step for you based on your specific situation. That's RamseySolutions.com and click Get Started.